We all always mess it up. Go!
Hey guys, welcome to the Reseller Happy Hour. I gotta see what the title is. Holy shit, that's the is that really the title?
Oh yeah, holy shit.
And I told Jim, like, literally as he was hitting the button, and I was like, I want to do the intro, and Jason's like, you always mess up the intro. My name's Dusty. I'm Alabama Pickers. And over to you, Jim. That was a horrible. See, I always mess it up.
See?
Yeah, we told you that. Why
Yeah, it's pretty
good.
It's like amateur hour at the Apollo.
It's worse than that.
And you know what? This isn't my channel, so I can say whatever I want to, and Jim has to put up with all the repercussions afterwards.
There's no repercussions. It's people
No
know what. No, people know what they get here. They get the fucks and the shits and
crap, all that. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, and I tell haters to stab themselves with a box cutter and you move on.
And then apparently jumped over into my channel tonight to defend my honor and told somebody to go screw themselves.
Well, no, I just said asshole alert. That's all. Somebody's being an asshole. You got to let them know. That's all.
And then he called you a child molester. So.
Right. That was what I wanted to go back and say something, but I'm like, let's just let Dusty handle the comment how he wants.
Well,
to
here's the funny.
Because
you have a lot of respect for that guy now, though, don't you?
Whoever that was, I didn't recognize the name. They were like griping about whatever it was. And it was on an older video, and I didn't recognize the name. And so I click on it. And if you look at their liked videos and stuff, I don't think they had anything to do with like reselling. They happened across the video. So I don't think that all trolls are necessarily trolls. It's like when you do these live shows, there's a button on YouTube that says who is live now. And I think a lot of it's like kids in their mom's basement playing video games or whatever that goes, hey, check out these 4 idiots. Let's go over there and and I just that's what a lot of it is. And you just let it slide off your back. But I appreciate you coming to defend my honor, Jim. That is very, very chivalrous of you. Yeah, I just went there in the first 3 minutes of the video.
Yeah, my whole thing is, all right.
I don't make videos. I don't do comments on video. I hardly ever pay attention to anything because I really don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I don't give a crap. Screw it. Fuck the world. So,
no. Wow. And I don't give a crap, but I give it back too, So. But I
not afraid to speak.
No, and I couldn't believe, like, all right, I call this guy asshole, ha ha ha, that, but to go from asshole to child molester, like, that's a pretty big jump. Like, that's certainly not an appropriate response.
But when you click on the guy's name, like, he has no clue who you are. He doesn't have anything to probably do with reselling or whatever. Yeah. He was just trolling along, saw my video because I had an interesting title, and it's like, my usual response is when they start that is like, thanks so much for watching. Like, I didn't watch it. It was too long and too many commercials. I'm like, thanks for watching. Just kill them with kindness and keep on.
Yeah, that's when I used to catch up with is if I had one that ditched their stuff or I knew they were stealing, but I was able to basically, get them to get out of the store without buying anything. The last thing I'd always say to them was, "Have a nice day, sir."
Thanks for shopping, lifting.
Exactly. They would immediately turn around and start screaming at you and cussing at you, and you're like, everybody around you is suddenly on your side because you just said, "Have a nice day." What's wrong with
have a nice day? And they started screaming at you. That's right.
Yeah, because I just spent the last hour tailing the guy through the whole store and being really obvious because I didn't want to deal with him. So,
can we have a do-over? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go all there.
No, there's no do-overs.
This is the All There channel. Thank you.
Nothing like opening up on a rant.
Yeah, right.
You don't have your T-shirt yet, so you're not over it yet.
Jessica just commented on the post and said, "Get your sandwiches ready."
That's kind of funny. We tried that tonight. It didn't work.
So we were late because Jason was eating pizza. We'll just go ahead and tell it like it is. And then we had discussion about Little Caesars and whether it was good or bad. Like, I want to hear from the audience if Little Caesars is good or bad in your area. Because it's hit or miss in different towns. Here, it's not in the greatest neighborhoods. But Jessica comes in and Eric tells her to make Jason a sandwich.
Do I need another one?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
And then she kind of rolled her eyes and just kind of walked out because she knows how I am with her and everything. So you got to. I mean, you're getting married soon, Jason. You got to train her right.
It's kind of the running thing, though. We all kind of do that to each other's wives or whatever when they walk in the room. It's like we make the other guys make comments and they're just all.
It's not disrespectful. We're just trying to. We acknowledge that they're there. That's all we're saying. Maybe it's a little disrespectful. Yeah.
All right, Jim. Jim, back to you.
Eric Gunner says Little Caesars is greasy garbage here. And I think that's the way it is everywhere. But I think what we're talking about is the parts of town that your Little Caesars is in, which seems to do better product. It's all greasy garbage, no matter where you go. But which has that extra kind of flavor? Is it the ones that are like closer to the bad parts of town, or some that are like in the nicer parts of town? The only Little Caesars I have here is downtown Cary, which is all like, there's like a movie theater that plays old movies, like movies from the 50s, and so the Little Caesars there is pretty shitty.
That'd be awesome. I wish I had a movie theater like that around here.
That's cool, but it's like $15 to $20 a ticket, I think.
Margot had a question, which we can get to in a minute. Margot, we have not forgot you. I cut and pasted it in here, so.
Yep.
I don't know that I don't remember what their pizza tastes like. I don't really eat pizza, though. That's the thing. Like, Tristan and Gabe will order a pizza, and Gabe gets, like, the cool pizzas. Like, that kid will be like, let me borrow your phone. I'll get on the app and order mine. And it's like I'm trying to be cheap tonight, so we're doing the $5.99 delivery special with 2 toppings. And no, he's got like it's like Domino's, Philly steak on it and mushrooms, and he's added like 15 toppings, and now it's a $30 pizza or whatever. And I'm like, so I have to go back in and redo it all and put the one unlimited toppings or whatever. But I'm not a pizza, like a delivery pizza kind of person.
The problem is if you order delivery pizza, you get, you say you get two medium pizzas and you get it for delivery, you get a couple of toppings, you're going to be in the $25 to $30 range by the time you get it all done.
Yeah.
And Little Caesars, I mean, Margot says it's a pizza joint for low income families. It's just cheap pizza. That's all it is cheap pizza. So it's going to taste like cheap pizza. I mean, I'd much rather buy a pizza. Get some of the take and bake ones are actually pretty good.
Jason looks sad that you just told him that.
No, not at all. The dog's just annoying the hell out of me right now.
Kick it.
I had food because I was eating before.
Well, give it some of that crappy little stuff and it'll go away.
I have nothing. Leave me alone.
But it is better, one step better than rice cakes. I'll give it that. So, but Luke likes Little Caesars because it's cheap. And, no matter what, we've always been able to go out and grab a cheap pizza, and that's the way it goes. I prefer Litos, but that's just me. But I don't have any around here, so.
Let me tell you, it used to be good when they were in like what was it, Kmart's and stuff, like back in the day.
I mean, I hate to say it, but Little Caesars actually, at one point when they were in the Kmart's, they used to make their own dough. I mean, everything they did was like a traditional pizza place. Nowadays, everything's frozen dough. Even Pizza Hut's frozen dough. I mean,
so Kmart made it classier.
Yeah,
compared to the places I go to.
Gotta go to Kmart. Gotta get my pizza from Kmart. So Lindsay Larson wants to know if we're reselling pizza now. The way the show usually goes, don't take over Jim's show here, but the way it usually goes is we just kind of shoot the bull. That's why it's called the happy hour. There's usually a mix of reselling thrown in, but it never really usually happens immediately.
We're talking about reselling. We're usually ranting about something, and then you guys supply us with reselling questions because it helps us.
Right. We really need you guys to fill in those questions because I got nothing tonight.
I had rice cakes for dinner.
Yeah, right. What did you have for dinner again?
You just sent a picture of that like beautiful plate of food that you had, and I'm sitting here eating my shitty Taco Bell.
Tristan had a little bit of a rough day, and so just some family issues with an elderly grandparent, and and I said, hey, how about ribeyes and baked potatoes and grilled vegetables? And so that's what we had for dinner, and it was good. It's finally warm enough. It's cool today, but it's finally warm enough to like get out and grill. I love grilling, but it just hadn't been warm. Obviously it's been winter, and I don't grill during the winter time. Screw that.
You don't?
Everyone, if I'm really in the mood for like something grilled, I will literally. I wouldn't do a steak this way, but I would if it's like chicken or whatever. I might sneak out there in the wintertime, throw it on the grill, just kind of sear it really good, get that flavor in there, and then finish it in the oven. And just kind of cheat that way. But now, I mean, really, no, I don't, for the most part.
When we were still living in New Jersey, and Ashley's parents were up there, my parents were up there, we would swing by Ashley's house, visit her parents, and it'd be like the middle of January, and Ashley'd be like, "Oh, where's Dad?" And her mom'd be like, "He's out on the back grilling." Like there's like 4 feet of snow around him. He dug out a path to get to the grill. Like they did all that's where all their meals were cooked on the grill all year round. Asking me what the damage is on the speeding ticket. I was speeding in a school zone, and I'm going to argue that the sign was not in an appropriate spot or the time and the times, because the times for the afternoon are like 2:52 to 4:19 or something weird, very odd numbers, and it's at a merge point, so I have to merge with cars and pay attention to the sign, and there was a lot going on. So ticket is $523.
Ouch.
No. Sorry.
So you already went to court?
No, I'm going on Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay.
I
So
still
the possible damage.
But that's what the ticket is right now.
I still think you need to video it. Just find some really stupid looking hat and hide a GoPro or your phone or whatever in it, and just
No,
be
Jim
like,
will go to jail for that, and we don't need to be
Yeah,
trying to figure out how to get bail money to him. So
that'll definitely put a damper on my closing.
yeah.
If I was in jail.
Eric Gunner asked about a Conrad etching machine. I couldn't find any really for sale, but any etching machine, E18 is probably an 18-inch etching machine, is good money. I mean, they're going to be heavy as all get out. They're using about cast iron. So you're probably talking 75, 80 pounds. So I mean, you're looking at figuring out your shipping, but they're going to be $500, $600, $700, $800 as a minimum.
I think those actually start closer to 1,000, if I remember.
Yeah, I'm talking about minimums. I have no idea because I couldn't find one on eBay. Really didn't look that hard, honestly. But
Tom said he paid attention to the important stuff in Jim's video. Did you talk about that in your last video?
I might have, yeah.
I watched the Daily Grumble today, and I never heard you mention it. I watched the whole thing. Well,
might have been on the one before that.
I was wrapping baking potatoes while I was doing it, but I don't think I missed any part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think
actually,
of that
here's
little...
a Conrad. I'm sorry, a Conrad just sold for, you took a best offer on $699.
What did I think of what?
That little bumper between the regular part and the shipping part.
Dude, I'm impressed where
screen.
you inserted a little editing or whatever.
Yeah. I went all out.
I also noticed you had a watermark in your video, so you must have used some kind of new software.
I'm trying it out, see if it works. It did all right, so I'll go ahead and pay the $6 for it. All right, let's get to Margot's question. Get a backdrop, thinking of getting something with a palm tree. What do you think? It goes with my theme.
I don't think that there's anything wrong. Okay, ideally, because I was thinking about this today when you did your video with the brick background. I love the big brick background with the wooden floor or whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with having more than one background though. What's to stop somebody if you literally bought those, and they're fairly cheap, bought those backgrounds and had them hanging on the wall, even if you had to make your own little grommet holes or something in them, put you some screws up. What's to stop a person from just swapping out the background? If you're doing industrial equipment, maybe have the brick background. I mean, I think it looks good. The brick looks good with everything, but what's to stop from having multiple backgrounds? I don't think that the same, I don't know. I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I use white for everything, but I love the brick one that you do.
An interesting background is kind of nice. I have that white wood background. I switched over from being just a plain white background, but I use that only for clothing. Everything else I use a plain white background, or if it's something that's not going to show up on the white, I use a black. But for the most part, it's plain white for me, unless it's clothing. Then I go to the wood background on the clothing.
And I like your background for the clothing. It looks good. Really does.
It pops it a little bit. So I mean, I think with a palm tree, as long as it's not vibrantly colored and it takes away from what you're listing, I think it'd be all right. But I wouldn't want to put smalls on it or anything like that.
The way that I see it is a background should be like the equivalent to white noise, where it's like nothing really draws your eye away from what you're trying to sell. So if you're having like Eric said, a really vibrant, palm tree background with an ocean scene and sand and all that, that'd be too much, I think. But as long as it's subdued, it should be all right. But I prefer myself just a big brick or wood or plain white or something that's just kind of, not going to draw your eye away from what you're trying to sell.
But I think at the same time, if you're selling items that relate to like free people that just want the item, they want the basics, like what Jason sells, industrial tools and stuff like that. Maybe not so much the older tools that he has, but like the bigger tool, the woodworking or the shopsmith kind of stuff that he sells, stuff like that. Those kind of guys, those are going to be older guys that are paying a chunk of change for whatever. They don't want a fluffy background.
Yeah, they don't care.
So I think there's, but I don't think there's anything wrong. I've seen sellers that like, I need to have this. This is my signature. Or like Margot was talking about. It depends on what you sell. Like if all Margot's doing is like clothing and stuff like that, then maybe a theme to the background. But at the same time, I don't think there's a one size fits all if you're selling a huge mix of stuff that's all over the board. That's my opinion, for whatever it's worth.
If there was like a Hooters background, Jim would be like all over it. You totally see it like every one of his options.
I don't think Jim's
I
wife
wouldn't be all over it in the middle of my living room. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the wife would
No,
appreciate
she
the Hooters
certainly
background, but she's taking the photos,
Got to stare at this shit all the time.
And Jim's over the corner going, "Yes, I do."
I love my job.
No. Really, the reason why I picked the brick background with the wood floor is because if I take a picture of something that's just, I don't need the background, I at least have the wood floor. So it's really giving me for the price of one.
Yeah, the way mine said, it's just all wood, but I kind of like it for clothing. Because like I said, I think the grayish pops the clothing out. Doesn't matter what you're wearing, unless it's a gray outfit or something. But
Right.
and I could put a white up there if I need to, but I don't list clothing that often, so I get on little kicks and I'll list a bunch. But
I just use white. Nothing fancy.
Racist.
Yeah. Now, how many times do you have to change it out? Because you must work with really greasy stuff. I know you clean it before you take pictures of it, but
Well, I don't use paper or what are you guys using?
vinyl.
Yeah, I actually use like wood with a laminate on it so that I can wipe it down, and it still gets nicked up sometimes, and then I just replace it out.
It gets nickied up. Is that what you said?
What? What did you say?
It gets nickied up.
Nicked up.
Yeah, the stuff I ordered for my smalls is I actually ordered picnic tablecloth, and it comes in 100-foot rolls, and it was like $16 for a 100-foot roll. And I just unroll a little bit, cut it, put it up, and when it gets too bad, throw it away and put up another section of it. And I figure it'll probably last me 2 years, that roll, before I have to go out and buy some more.
Yeah, for me, everything's like oily and greasy, so it's like, I'd spin through a roll in like no time.
Yeah, for you it'd be a little bit different, but because I have greasy, oily stuff every now and then, I can usually wipe it out. But for the most part, it gets just grungy and dirty after a while, and then I can just, another 5-foot section and I'm done. I've been changing it out about once a month, so 5 feet every month. Well, that's about 50, 60 feet a year. So
yeah, plus for me, like I have like a lot of heavy things, 30 to 50 pounds, and then when you put it up there on like vinyl or paper, you tend to rip it.
Yeah, it's gonna shred it. Even my small stuff will rip this stuff. It's not very thick, So,
and Tom said something. Thom said something a minute ago. I was watching a video and the eBay was talking about he doesn't get fancy, he takes a good picture and goes on to the next, which he gave me credit for that, which I have said that, I don't know, but I think that's what it's all about. It's about lighting. Like, honestly, I don't think you have to have anything fancy. Have a decent, even if you're the crappiest picture taker in the world, have a decent lighting setup to where you're not throwing shadows on everything. Make sure your pictures aren't blurry, and just sell it. I mean, clothing might be, there might be a little marketing behind that, make it look fancy or whatever. I don't know. I don't sell clothing, so I don't
do anything fancy. I mean, hell, you see some of my pictures. I definitely don't do anything fancy with my clothing. You're lucky if I iron it. But you know, for
you put well wrinkled in the title.
I put needs pressed in my condition. So, but for me, for the most part, I mean, most of my stuff, you're right. It's the lighting kit. When I went to the 4 light boxes as opposed to the umbrellas, and Jim is using the umbrellas I had, it made a huge difference in my smalls picture. Now, the clothing, it doesn't make that much of a difference because you're still throwing light from a distance. But when you go to take pictures of smalls, those light boxes are critical. I mean, they throw a ton of light with a white background. You get no shadowing, and I don't even have to edit any photos. I just got to make sure it's not blurry.
You know, you can also adjust a little bit of it on the camera itself before you take the pictures.
I don't do that.
I forget what setting it is, but there is a setting on the camera that you can.
Yeah, mine's called. It's really easy. I just pick the one that shows a camera. That's it. I don't really care. You know, I can care less with the rest. I don't even know what most of those settings are, so I don't really care.
Mine only has 3 buttons.
Yeah.
No, it's got settings in it, but I do everything on auto, and as long as your lighting's good, you shouldn't need anything else.
I mean, and that's the key. If your lighting is bright, I mean, because all photography is just manipulating light, and if you have good light, it takes care of most of the issues.
No, wasn't it Jim a while back that could only take pictures during the day?
Yeah, we fixed it.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought.
Yeah, I had to wait for the sun to be just right. I had to sit in the dining room with the window in the back, and yeah, it was. I couldn't believe how much of a time saver it was when I got the umbrellas in and I set it all up, and there was no more messing with the cardboard background to make sure it sits just right, and the white balance on my phone, it's just auto and click, and I'm done.
For me, it's a game changer. Like, if I'd have not been a cheapskate or known it was going to make my life that much easier, I would have not been a cheapskate, and I'd have spent the $70. I mean, which is a sizable chunk of money for most anybody. But I'm telling you what, it made my life. I think it's improved my sales, definitely. I mean, it's paid for itself a gazillion times over.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
My picture looking more professional. And
yeah, I ordered the same kit Dusty has, and it's just that much better. I mean, I said I had the umbrellas, and and they worked fine for clothing, but when it comes to smalls, they don't put enough concentrated light there for you. And so it doesn't matter how much you put out there, how much reflecting you do and everything. And I have photographic quality bulbs in my fixtures here. So that's why, I mean, you look outside my house at night, it looks like I'm arc welding in here, but just the way it is, I don't care. But that's when I'm doing my photos of it, it blasts that light in there. So
look, the guy across the street's having a rave in his basement again.
Yeah.
It's funny. You guys just reminded me of like at the very beginning of eBay. Remember, like, digital photography was like in its infancy. I remember I had like an early like DC-20 camera. I think it was like the first camera.
I had an Olympus 1.3 megapixel camera. That was my first digital camera. I paid $200 for that thing.
Yeah, they weren't cheap.
No.
And the pictures looked like.
I used that camera for like 5 years too. So.
Did you? They'd be all like pixelated a lot, or people would even throw in like grayscale pictures.
It was kind of bad back then.
Yeah, it was. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My first camera was a Sony Mavica 1.3 megapixel. The thing was like a book. Like, it was heavy. It was huge.
That's what
if I could do that thing.
Yeah,
did you burn all your pictures to a CD and then put them in your computer?
I couldn't even burn at that point. There was no burning. It was a floppy disk insert to the computer.
Yeah, because
bad.
The Mavica had a 3.5-inch floppy drive in it, and you would take pictures and save to the 3.5. Which, you know, you'd think that those cameras would be kind of popular because it's just so kind of old school and cool, but they are not worth a damn thing on eBay.
I'll tell you, you know who used to use those a lot? All the auto dealerships used to have those.
For their, ads and everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The good old days.
All right. The Comfortable Life asks, I've heard 3 clothes sellers say that they wouldn't recommend selling electronics because the return rate and scam rate is so high. What do you guys think?
That's why they're clothing sellers.
And that's not a total dig on clothing sellers, but I think
it kind of was.
If you want to stay with clothing, that's fine. Then become the best clothing seller ever and learn how to sell $100. Learn how to have an eye and hopefully source from places that sell you Chanel or whatever else. But if you're not finding those type of clothing, you no risk, no reward. There are certain electronics that I avoid like the plague. Cable modems used cable modems is one of them, and routers, because people can't figure out how to hook them up. And I think back to how many times I bought one, even brand new from Walmart, and come home and my internet service provider wants to blame it on Netgear or whatever, and you call Netgear and they blame it on Comcast, and you go back and forth. I think there's too much of an installation curve. So I would avoid stuff like that. As far as scammers, I mean, you're gonna, with any kind of item on eBay, whoever your target audience is, that's what you're gonna get. If you're selling items that are sold to 20-year-old kids in their mom's basement, then yeah, you're probably gonna get 20-year-old mom's basement mentality, and that's probably gonna bleed over a little bit. I wouldn't be scared of scammers though, completely, because, you know, so what? Let's say 5% of all your stuff comes back. You're still going to make really, really good money.
Yeah, you cannot worry about the scammers out there. If you know what you're doing, you're selling good items, you've tested it, it works fine. What's to be scammed on? I mean, that's what I don't get. I mean, now I won't sell cell phones because to me that's a high return, high scam item. You know, I'm not selling a cell phone. I'm just, you know, unless I'm selling it for parts, I'm not going to worry about it.
Right.
You know, so that's one thing. But, you know, you're talking about just basic electronics like video games or stereo equipment or something like that. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
It seems kind of weird. It seems kind of weird to eliminate an area that has pretty good money in it. You know, but if you don't have the space to store it, you don't want to deal with it, then don't sell it.
Right. Yeah, I sold a Panasonic DVD VCR combo. So, you know, I showed that it was working in my pictures, and the guy received it. He said that it ate one of his tapes and he wants it returned. No problem. I sold it for $80 plus $14 shipping. He returns it. I turn around and I put in there used. It ate one tape. This is a return parts only, and I sold it for $60. So
you probably had
$8 for it. So
yeah, so you probably had, you know, under $10 in it. So even after paying shipping twice, you still made money on it.
Yeah, right.
I think
It's like return and relist it and all that, but
like Mike Fisher said, if you sell items with cranks, you get 0 scammers, 100% sell through. But I think that's true of Jason's stuff. Jason's prime demographic is guys that are probably more mature, that have the money to spend on items. So I would hesitate to say that Jason probably never, knock on wood, gets scammed, or not much, or whatever you want to call it, and has happy buyers because they're mature enough to know what they want when they click the button. They've done their research. They've asked the questions. Jason's listings are good. It's just a totally demographic. I avoid things that sell to demographics that I don't like. That's plain and simple. I'm not saying that I don't, but that's why I don't sell clothing. Clothing is not that the people that buy clothing are a bad demographic, because we all buy clothing, but it's clothing is hard to buy online. You know, Nike's shoe sizes run totally different than Adidas does. And there's a lot of people that don't know that, and I would rather choose to avoid returns. I want my person to buy my item, get it, leave me positive feedback, move on. And so I've chosen to just write that out of my business model. I don't want to sell that type of item.
Yeah. See, I sell clothing, but I sell men's clothing.
right.
I try not to sell too much women's clothing because women's clothing is very, very subjective. whereas guys are pretty easy. You know, if the shirt's going to fit, it's going to fit.
It just goes. There's a lot of truth there, especially with what you're wearing today.
Damn Skippy. Backing on my Hawaiian shirts. I like wearing Hawaiian shirts.
It looks great, Eric. You're sexy.
And I know it.
Mitzi Reseller said, which demographics? Women, teens, whatever. I don't, for me, it's not, and then she said, I see your point. For me, it's not really a sex thing. I mean, well, Eric, for doing clothing, he'd rather sell to men than women. For me, it's just a certain, oh, Lordy, here we go. So I feel like we're raising a generation. I feel like the majority of this audience is probably, we're all in maybe our late 20s and on up. I feel like the generation below that that's coming up is a lot more used to, well, I just return it. You tell them whatever. You know, I'll tell them it's not as described, so they'll pay the return shipping back. I mean, there's a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on. It's unfortunate that we're raising a new upcoming generations that are a little more just kind of, oh, well, it's not a big deal. It doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't hurt, you know, it doesn't hurt them. They're in business. They'll just write it off. You know, so that's, I avoid that type of, I guess when I say probably younger people, there you go. People that are between the age of I'm old enough to have a cell phone and order something online and old enough to have a wife and or a mortgage or kids or responsibilities and understand how life works. That's, it's not really my demographic I try to sell to. College age kids, high school and college age kids, not my thing.
I think Eric went to change his shirt.
I beat around the bush to get there, but that's kind of it. And not every high school or college age kid is that way. I mean, it's you know, that was a generalization, but yeah, I do feel like there's more of that with a certain generation. Generation might be better more than like demographics, but
right. I personally don't sell to millennials.
It says that right on the page too.
It does, yeah.
Do you have that in like 18-point font in your description? Do you do that through Optiva where it flashes and it goes, if you're a millennial, don't buy this?
Oh, it says I'm going to need a copy of your driver's license before I sell to you.
It says in his long like condition of buyer at the bottom of his description, he has like 10 paragraphs down there of what you should and shouldn't be before making.
Yeah. Jack Smack made a good point. He said the venue of the item also matters. Amazon is a crapshoot on electronics, but eBay, if you've got all your ducks in a row and you just posted something and it jumped on me, and you did what you're supposed to, will back you. So, and I think that's true. I mean, Amazon customers know very well what the return policies are, and they know how to work it. So
Amazon wants it to be easy for their customers to return stuff. They want as little interaction as possible. Therefore, the buyers know that they won't have to jump through hoops. All they'll have to do is this or that or the other. I sold used electronics and new electronics and things like that on Amazon for a while years ago, and I immediately decided it's not worth it. I mean, yeah, I could have absorbed those occasional scams or whatever you want to call them, or bad returners or serial returners, but it just, at the end of the day, I was wasting too much time worrying about returns, and it wasn't worth it. So I think that, you know what, from now on, it's like bulletproof stuff. It's books, it's CDs, it's DVDs. I've checked the discs, I've cleaned the discs. I mean, you know, they know what they're getting. You know, they know what they're getting. They know what it is, and that's it. And it's fairly bulletproof as far as returns.
Yeah. I think Reseller Rockefeller said it perfect, where it's just part of doing business. Total, you know, write it off. I mean, returns are inevitable. You're going to get returns, scam or no scam. Returns are return.
It's not a scam if you have a return policy. You just return it. I mean, that's
right.
Yeah. Well, like everything is so returnable that they really don't need to scam anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like Jim said, you know, at the end of the day, if it's resellable, you know, you just relist it, you get some of your money back. Hopefully you're buying, and you know, everybody's got a different business model, but a lot of our audience is doing like what we're doing: auction items, thrifted items, estate items, whatever. Hopefully you're your cost is so low that even if you have to absorb some shipping coming back or whatever, and you can turn around and resell it, you'll still make money because you were so cheap in it to begin with.
Right. I think the scammer used way too loosely anyway. I mean, everybody's a scammer. Oh, they returned it, so they're a scammer. No, they returned it probably because it either broke during shipping, you didn't describe it right, you took shitty pictures. Like, 9 times out of 10, are there scammers out there? Of course, everywhere you go, there's going to be a scammer floating around out there. But, if it's a return, look inward. Look at what you're doing, what you could have done to prevent it before you sold it. That's how you grow, and you'll realize, oh, I'm not getting scammed as much anymore. No, because you're taking care of your shit.
When Resell Rockefeller said, I would rather sell a lot of stuff and accept the few returns and scams that come each month and lean away from the items that are popular. I think for me, the items that I was selling that tend to have a high return rate weren't a high profit anyhow. It was paying $5 for a cable modem and maybe getting 30, 40 or whatever, $25, $30. To me, that's not worth it. That's not worth it considering how high the return rate was. Now, I will still sell them if I come across them and they're brand new in the package or something like that. Yeah, that kind of stuff I will sell. Direct TV boxes, I don't sell, Dish Network or whatever. I don't sell those anymore because a lot of times those are locked to people's account. The return rate ends up being higher. Yes, you can sell them as unknown account status or whatever. They can be sold. I don't know whether it's technically legal or not, but people do sell them that way. But you get so much less for them. And for me to deal with a box that's this big, or like the old ones were, it's just not worth it. And so I'm like, there's other money over here I can make that's a lot better money, and I can slap it in a bubble mailer, Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And Jack Smack said, most of the trash toys that we sell, most of this trash toys that we sell, I'd never buy. Sometimes the stuff is just plain cheap. I think that's the other thing, is selling cheap stuff too. I know it was really popular for a long time. I know there's people that still do it, people that sell Dollar Tree items and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, and there's decent items in Dollar Tree. I mean, sometimes it's complete like closeout stuff, but some of it's made by Greenbrier, which is their company that makes all their cheap Chinese crap. And some of it literally is cheap stuff. So just because you bundle 5 of them together and it only costs you $5 and you can get $20 for it on Amazon or $15 or whatever, doesn't mean your buyer is going to be happy with it if it was cheap stuff to begin with. So I just think it's being smart on what you sell, period. And no, I'm not saying that all Dollar Tree stuff is horrible. They have some good name brand closeout stuff in there too, and there's people that make good money on it. Did he go change shirts again?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No,
Crawl into the bedroom to change shirts?
no, just taking care of some school stuff for Luke I didn't know about. So.
Beth C said the reseller Facebook groups are full of the scammer stories, so people are being programmed to think everything is a scam. I don't think people are being programmed. I think there's a group mentality that comes along with groups in general, whether it be Facebook groups or whatever. And I think that a lot of people that get into, I feel like a lot of people that get into this business are not prepared to handle it as a business and realize just because you described it perfectly, just because you took great pictures and you feel in your heart that it was great, that doesn't mean it's not going to come back, or you're not going to have a return, or you're not going to have to eat some money on something at some point. And they take it really personal. They're maybe not prepared to be in business, so they have emotion. Too much emotion overrides the business part because they're not used to being in business. And I think that only comes with time and experience. I know for me personally, the biggest turning point in our business was when I decided to quit letting stuff get to me. And it was when, okay, it's a return. Great. I'm going to get it back. I paid $2 for it. So what? It was $50, $60. And they sent it back, and they sent me their old one, or they sent me, well, I've never really had that happen, but they sent it back, and after they had already opened it, well, you know what? I can still sell it as used. I can still get $35. And I turned 2 into 35. Not a big deal. And when I quit letting things, that was really a game changer. I slept better at night. I was not that I was losing sleep over it before, but I it became a pretty stressless business, you know. And I think when you get newer sellers that aren't ready for that, and then people gang on top of it, and it never fails. The question starts with, "I'm getting scammed. What do I do?" And there are instances where people legitimately get scammed, but nobody ever really goes, "Well, maybe you're not getting scammed. Maybe you made a mistake, or maybe maybe you didn't really pay attention, to the fact that you didn't test it long enough, or is it possible that you didn't pack it adequately enough because you don't have packing experience? Maybe it did really break on the way there."
Right.
Treat your scammers like your regular customer. Don't worry about it. I mean,
rant over.
In this business, you're going to have somebody who's going to take advantage of the situation. Okay, and it's up to you to decide how you react to that. It's just that simple. I mean, you can sit there and complain and bitch about the fact that you lost some money, or you just write it off, move on, and don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
But I think part of the problem is people.
Go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I was just saying that,
Nice talking.
Returns, whether it be scam or not scam, I mean, I really don't dwell on them or pay that much attention to them. It's, you're too busy doing other stuff. You know what I mean? Unless it's some, high ticket item, it's just, move along, get to the next item, just keep cranking out stuff. And you don't really worry about those sort of things.
You just can't.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jim.
Plus, it'll put you in a bad mood too, and then less productive. I'm sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say. No, just kidding. Part of the problem is, I think, with returns is that people, when they sell an item, they think that money is theirs, when technically it's not yours for 30 days. If you have a 30-day return, or 14 days, or 60 days. So, being in sales my whole professional life, you don't get paid on commission until that return period is over. So if I sold a cell phone, let's say, I don't get paid on it till the following month. So, and if you treated the business that way, or have enough cushion in your PayPal to handle those, if a return should come up, then it won't sting as much, I think, because if you're spending your money as soon as you get it, you could get caught with your pants down.
But that's hard, and I understand where people come. It's hard for people getting in this business because a lot of people get in this business out of necessity. So when that money comes in, they don't have the discipline to let it sit there. Whereas you were selling cell phones or selling cars, your employer's forcing you to do it because they're just not going to pay you till the following month, until everything's settled and done. And I think it's where it just goes back again to, there's such a, fortunately for all of us, or we wouldn't all be in it necessarily, but there's a lower barrier to entry, and there's no test at the front door. So people get into it not prepared for what it truly takes, and they don't realize from the day you open that account and list your first items, you're technically a business.
Yeah.
They may have zero business experience. They may have never been a manager or assistant manager or any kind of management for any kind of retail anywhere. That's going to be a rude awakening. It's going to be tough.
Think about when the first time you listed anything, and for us it's a little harder because it's been such a long time, but go back to when you started to make those changes, to when you started to realize it was such a big business. Before you were thinking about getting postal supplies from either, but for the most part, people start out with boxes they scavenge somewhere. Then next thing you know, they're ordering the postal supplies. And then next thing you know, they're ordering custom boxes because I want to have different box sizes because of the stuff I sell. It's those little changes that just kind of shows you how you can ramp your sales up and your business acumen, how smart you're running your business. When you realize that if I order the right supplies, I don't have to scramble. That saves me time. I don't have to think about stuff like that. So now I'm in that situation where I've taken my business from I go shove this in an old pizza box and mail it off, to where I'm trying to be professional. I'm actually turning it into a business. And a lot of people can never make those turns to where they go to the next level.
Well, Reseller Rockefeller said it's also the newer sellers not writing a good description or not taking clear photos and acting if this is a game and they pay for it. And then they pay for it and they end up paying for it in the end. That's exactly the same thing. decide, you know what, with next month's earnings, yes, I'm going to keep my power bill, keep my lights on, do whatever. Maybe you're struggling to save your home or whatever and not get foreclosed on. But decide at some point, I'm going to invest a little bit of money in either umbrellas or soft boxes, or I'm going to come up with something, and I'm going to find some at a yard sale, even like homemade lighting. But I can't keep doing this on my kitchen counter with, I used to take a lot of pictures on the kitchen counter. When I look back, my pictures sucked. That's years and years and years ago. But next month, I'm going to invest in a little bit of lighting. Next month, I'm going to get a little bit better camera, or, like you said, boxes or whatever. Just constantly be trying to up your game. And eventually, if you get to be the best seller that you can be, you're going to find you're selling more than your competition. Because your competition, and this is sad to say, but your competition on eBay changes on a daily basis. And there's more and more people getting into this new. And some are fantastic from the get-go. And then some are just, wow, I can't believe you posted that. And, put that title up and put that description. And so just constantly be striving to become that top 10% or top whatever, outshine your competition.
Yeah, always.
Rant over.
When you think about it, what's the one thing you can control is your listing. You control that. You can't control who comes to it, who buys it, who shops your store. All you can control is putting your best foot forward. And if you do that from the beginning, then you're in good shape. And once it sells, then you control how it's going to get shipped. Other than that, you can't tell whether they're going to like it or not, or whether they've got one just like it with a different serial number. You can't worry about stuff like that. Out of your control.
I learned long ago, don't worry about stuff like that. That'll slow you down like you wouldn't believe. It'll put you in such a funk or whatever.
Yeah, I had a guy email me for return. Friday or Saturday, and he's like, you listed the item as this, and it was this, and I look back and I'm like, holy crap, I certainly did. I screwed that completely up. So I sold him something that was totally not what he wanted. Mm-hmm. I said, I took a $50 offer on it, and I said, I'll give you, if you want, I'll give you a couple options. I said, I'll give you $30 back if you want to keep the item. Even though I'm giving him an item that's worth a lot more, but I'll give it to you for $20. He said, or I said, I'll give you a whole return, just mail it back, the whole 9 yards. So instead he goes, well, you've got this in your store and I kind of want this. Will you accept a $40 offer on this item in lieu of anything else? And I'm like, well, hell yeah. Not only do I don't have to do a return and give the guy any money back, he's going to give me another $40 to buy something else out of my store. That's the type of stuff I love, when you're taking care of a customer that way and it really doesn't bother you, because you're not only doing that, you're making more money. It was the strangest thing, but that's the type of stuff I like. If I thought the guy was trying to scam me or something like that, I would have handled the exact same way. I've had people scam me. I know that, and I don't really care.
It's so funny. Read every. Hold on, I'm echoing. Damn it.
Yeah, we rant over many, many times.
It's like you hear constantly on these boards and stuff, scam this, scam that, scam that. It's just, it's ridiculous.
Well, I can't remember somebody posted up here and said, when you're in a Facebook group and you complain about getting scammed, then everybody wants the buyer's name so they can add it to their block buyers list. That's all you block buyers are blocking people that are probably going to shop at my store and pay me money.
You know how many people are on my blocked buyers list, Eric?
I think I have like 6, and that's because of pain in the ass. I don't want to ever deal with them again type customers, where I couldn't make them happy no matter what.
Stand corrected. I have 1. There was a guy from China with a fake address once, and I caught him. And I put him on that list, and I had to search for it. I didn't even know what the hell the block buyer thing was.
Yeah, it takes forever for me to find it, but I think I got like 6, and on this account, I've had this account for 5 years. So yeah, it's been 6 in 5 years, and I probably haven't added anybody in the last year and a half. So.
Tiffany said, no, I have not. The past 2 days, I've been just cataloging it. I've literally just starting to get to it now.
Right now, he's belt buckle cross-eyed.
Yeah, I've been doing so many belt buckles all freaking day.
That's what happens when you buy belt buckles by the pound.
Yeah, no joke. It was about 100 pounds. I mean, it's taking up a large amount of space. But
Reseller Rockefeller said exactly nothing is killing this business more than these YouTube resellers who are making these how-to videos and flooding the market with a bunch of BS. You know, I don't think there's anything. I think by me sharing, because the type of items that I personally share are the type of items that most people aren't going to come across, but hopefully someday they will, and it'll make them some really good money. It's expanding their knowledge base, which I think ultimately, I want to see eBay make a comeback. And after 20 years of doing, almost 20 years of doing eBay, I've seen where they've lost a lot of buyer confidence. And what you need to have is stronger sellers, better pictures, better things, better competition is not always a bad thing. It's not, I agree. I'm agreeing with you and disagreeing. I don't think it's always a bad thing. I do think that a lot of showing the very easily found items could be hurting those markets.
Oh, it definitely. I mean, you look at just picking. I mean, you pick any basic thing: Ralph Lauren polo shirt, Levi's jeans, anything that's very common, very easy to pick up. Coffee mugs, Starbucks coffee mugs. The market has been killed by everybody sharing those. Hey, these are worth $50 when you find them, and then everybody puts them up, and suddenly nobody wants to pay $50 for something that's a very common item now. But yeah, I don't have a problem with YouTubers showing what they found or anything like that. Just they're just putting out what they found. It's up to the people watching those videos to make a decision. Is that something I want to sell, and can I really get that much? Can I do some research to see can I get that much?
Oh, he came back and said, I mean, these guys who are fake, they make videos explaining how to pack polos for items, whatever. I don't know. I don't watch
YouTube, so
you did.
If I'm watching YouTube, it's like kids react to DC. I mean, that's what I watch on YouTube. So,
no, he apologized for not explaining like you should have. I kind of figured that's what you meant. That's why I wasn't like all defensive or up in arms. But no, I mean, it's a good argument. That argument's been made as long as I've been part of the reselling community. I mean, I did reselling for years without sharing with anybody else anything. But I've learned a lot too. Like doing the video the other night with Jason. I mean, I learned a ton about different leather working, whatever. It's not going to hurt Jason as far as competition, because if I do find that stuff, it'll be a year or two down the road. But you know what? It'll be in the back of my memory banks of what I learn and what stuff's worth.
It's really all about how much you absorb.
Huh?
It's really all about how much knowledge you absorb.
And I think that's a big issue as well. Getting into this business, like I said, going back to the very beginning, getting into this business, there's a lot of people that just really aren't suited for business. And I know that sounds harsh, but nobody ever really wants to say it in the groups or say it in the videos. A lot of people shouldn't be in business for themselves. That's not a bad thing. It's just not your strong suit. And I totally forgot the rest of it. But it's then as well, it's about do you enjoy learning? The people that I've seen excel in this business are the ones that enjoy learning. The nerds like myself that watch like Antiques Roadshow laying in bed at night would rather watch that than watch a movie. You know, the guys that have the freaking antiques, the Koval's Antiques Guide on the back of the toilet instead of magazines. I mean, those are the people that are constantly studying completed listing, guys or girls, sorry. But those are the people, if you love learning and you love constantly expanding your knowledge, what I've seen is that then becomes, and it's the same way with any other business. You know, because I have to bring it up on every show, but my dad in the grocery business or UPS store business or whatever, he has always outshined the other franchisees, the other store owners, his competition, because he's constantly looking at new ways and learning new ways. In every business he's been in, he's been successful. And he's kind of my role model when it comes down to all that, because I was like, wow, how did Dad get to be this way? Dad's always trying something. He's not afraid to try something new. He was never afraid to try a new idea that he saw another retailer doing or learn something new. And I was like, and it clicked several years ago. That's the key to it, is learning, is becoming the best, whatever it is you do in life, the best you can be.
Well, that's probably my biggest pet peeve is so many people put a post in a Facebook group. Hey, found this. What is it? Okay, well then somebody goes on and tell them what it is. Oh, really cool. What do you think it's worth?
You go, Brian.
And you just want to smack your head. It's like, you know what? Why don't I just come over to your house and take the pictures and list it for you? Because I mean, that's what you want me to do basically. Is you want me to basically research it, figure out what it's worth, how to list it, and do all this type of stuff. It's like you got to learn to be able to research, to be able to price correctly, to get the max value out of your items, and then also know what not to buy.
You know, what I do once in a while is I'll just randomly pick a category on eBay, go to sold, search by highest price, and just study what's selling. You know what I mean? And you find something interesting that you think might be around, you know, study it even a little further and stuff. I don't know. I've always done that, you know, just wasted hours and hours just on eBay. Not wasted, but you know what I mean.
Well, Queen City Picker says most people that get into eBay don't become long-term resellers because it's work. It's work sourcing, it's work listing, it's work shipping. And I will add, it's work learning and researching. You know, and yeah, I'm kind of probably a butthole in my group, but sometimes if people go, hey, I don't know what this is, whatever, and if I find it really easily, and I don't do it to be catty or smart ass, I will literally just post a link from where I found it in Google Images, because that's the only way, that's the way you're going to learn. Here you go. Here's how I found it. Go look through this link right here to Google Images and go find it, and then click on whatever link it is and read and read and read. Fall down a rabbit hole for 5 or 10 minutes and learn.
I actually did that in your group earlier this week. Sorry.
What's that?
I posted those Star Trek pictures, and Jeff Davidson was helping me out and some others, and like 3 minutes after I posted the picture, I'm like, oh, I found it. Never mind. Like, and I do that quite a bit actually.
Those are kind of cool.
I just give up too soon.
Those pictures, so.
That first picture is very common. It's in like a lot of the episodes. They use that as a backdrop. Yeah. It was a painting that they did because they couldn't really afford to do, you know.
But sometimes I'll post stuff because, like those glass knobs that I had a while back, I still to this day don't know what they were. But I wanted to hear people's opinions because it helps me to learn when people go glass finials. I'm like, well, no, they're not lamp finials because I'm holding them in my hand. Of course, they couldn't see that in the picture. I'm like, these are way too big to be finials. Plus, to have 4 matching, no, there's no way. You know, and then people were brainstorming with different things. So then I'm going, okay, finial. Let's go look at glass finials though. And I'm going over, and it's helping me to learn by people helping me to brainstorm. You know, so it's a
when I post something I can't figure out, nobody else can hardly get it usually. So I just every now and then I'll throw up an item that if I can't figure it out, I'm not just why not? You know, that's what you post in Facebook groups for, is when you absolutely have exhausted every avenue that you can think of. Then you kind of go out to the brain trust out there and says, has anybody ever seen anything like this? Yeah, and then usually somebody will say, oh yeah, I've sold that before. I know what it is at least, and then you can kind of get it from there.
The best, I think, is like when you're at a flea market or something and you're trying to haggle, and the guy will be like, oh man, I could sell it on eBay like this. No, there's a reason why you're at the flea market, because you're too lazy to actually do that.
If you sell on eBay like this and get that much money, you'd sell on eBay like that and get that much money. I'm here in front of you with cash. What do you want to do here?
Exactly.
Let's see. Roger Noon asked about guys cautious at all about new buyers with feedback score of, let's say, less than 20, giving a best offer that is acceptable, but then worry about non-payment. And if you guys do come across, how often do we come across non-payment issues? I don't worry about anybody's feedback score.
No,
honestly,
I don't even look
at it.
I don't care.
I'm not going to worry about it, because if they're a bad buyer, it will catch up to them eventually.
Yeah, if they paid, that's all I need to know. Then I ship.
Exactly. If they don't pay, then it opens up their non-payment thing, and it goes through the process, and then I don't worry about it. They get a ding against them.
Right.
I have the majority of my non-paying bidders, once I file, they end up paying. And if not, I just relist it. But as far as the ones that get relisted, I would say out of, I don't know how many transactions I do in an average month. I can't remember how to look at that, but
5 million.
you know, I probably do. Hold on, I'm loading it here. I do 500 transactions a month, and I would say that maybe 1, maybe 2 ends up going to the point of where
Yes.
they never pay it all, and I have to relist it.
Yeah. I don't even get that much.
The thing with zero feedback bidders, eBay now allows, and I don't know when they started a couple of years ago, they now allow guest accounts, which literally gives people a random string of letters and numbers, whatever. So you got to keep in mind those accounts are probably going to go show a 0. The other thing, and I truly believe this, and I am seeing it, people are coming back to eBay where they left for a lot of years. Buyer confidence is definitely coming back. So there are going to be people that maybe had an account years ago, but they don't have that email anymore. They don't remember their login, whatever. They're creating a brand new account. Or, hey, I thought eBay sucked, and all their buddies at work is talking about, no, eBay now, is a lot better. The sellers are a lot better. I think people are, and so they go home and they open up a new account, and people are shopping on eBay that wouldn't have shopped before, or that maybe haven't shopped there in a lot of years. So 0 really doesn't scare me. At the end of the day, you've got seller protections in place. Just be smart, list your things professionally and honestly, and hopefully, you never get scammed. I'm not gonna say it's not gonna happen, but
the example I use is if you owned your own brick and mortar store, recognize somebody that came into your store, would you kick them out just because you didn't know them?
If you walk up to them, the owners, and you say, as the owner, and you say, "Hey, can I help you find anything?" They're going, "No, I've never been in your store before." Are you not going to let them shop?
Same thing with zero feedback buyers. You're not going to block them all because you're not going to know until they buy something. But
Damn, Jim,
it just doesn't make sense to worry about it.
I think that's a T-shirt idea, like a big 0 feedback, and then put "Get out of my store." You'll come up with something better. Like I'm just going out brainstorming.
I got to figure out how to do that. Make that work. Yeah.
Reseller Rockefeller said my father was one of the first antique sellers on eBay back in the day. He just came back in 2016. There you go. There was a bad decade in there where people like my mom quit shopping there. They moved over to Amazon.
A lot of that was because of the Chinese sellers that came in and destroyed eBay's reputation. And then, like I said, and eBay's doing a great job of trying to clean those guys out, or at least get them listed to where people recognize that it's a Chinese seller, and which is, again, I order stuff from China. I'm not worried about that, but it's at least the knowledgeable that you are ordering something that's going to take a month and a half to get here and all that. But that's fine. Again, I don't care if they sell. Just honestly, you got to know what you're dealing with as a customer. But
01 Wolf said, "I was very excited to give my 0 feedback buyer his first feedback." That's kind of cool. Because I hadn't thought of it that way. I had my feedback set up on automated. When I
haven't left feedback in a long time.
That would be a cool feeling. I hadn't thought about that.
Matter of fact, it's funny because every night, because I buy on eBay too, and I have to go remind myself to go in and actually do feedback because I don't go in there anymore because it's all set up automatically.
Holy shit! Zilke made a good point.
Zilke had another good point. I can't remember what it was up above. He had a really not that he's not well spoken, but he had something that was like, it had about 5 people go, "Wow, wow, wow." And it was a very good point as well.
It's like, so introspective tonight. He said, eBay resellers waste too much time worrying about buyers. Be thankful they buy your crap, treat them with respect, and find some more crap. We make this way too hard. And that's 100% right.
Yep.
Going on Grumpy said Amazon is overpriced. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. It depends on what, I guess it depends on what you're buying. But if I want a used book, or I want, like today, my father-in-law who lives in Birmingham we finally got him from an iPhone 3 into an iPhone 7. Believe it or not, he skipped 6 generations. But Tristan was having a rough time today with a relative that just ended up in the hospital, and she I walked in the living room and she goes, "Can you handle my dad?" And I said, "What's going on?" She said, "Well, of course his phone only came with one cord. He wants to know if we have any extra cords." And I'm like, "No big deal." And I got on Amazon and I just ordered the Amazon Basics. They're $6.99 a piece, prime shipping. I had them dropped to his house. They'll be there on Wednesday. They're 6 foot long cords that Amazon gives a 1-year warranty on. The other day, trash bags. We order our trash bags off of Amazon. They price match with our local Walmart. They're usually on a lot of grocery items. If it's sold by Amazon, items will be about the same price as what I can buy it for at Walmart. And I don't have to go. Here's another example. We were in Walmart the other day, and our daughter's cats only eat Purina Gentle cat food. And Tristan, I'm back filling our water jugs, and Tristan's on the cat food aisle. And I said, "How much is it?" She's like, 18-pound bag, $12.76 or something like that. I pull it up on Amazon. It's $12.76 to my door. And actually probably a little less sales tax. I can't remember what sales tax they charge on Amazon. If they charge the full 9% like the city does here, but so I would kind of respectfully disagree. It does depend on what it is, but if you're buying something from a third-party seller and it's a freaking Hatchimal at Christmas time, it's going to be more expensive.
Well, I think there's some Amazon pie in the sky type people out there who say, "Oh, it's a new item. I'm going to list it pie in the sky on Amazon because I'll be the only one on Amazon with it." Well, that's true. Amazon can be more expensive for vintage or new in the package type stuff, but your basic everyday stuff, Amazon is cheaper than pretty much everybody because they're not the ones carrying it. I mean,
Jim, does the captain need you to come back in now?
No, that's people are commenting on videos that I've already done instead of tuning into the show.
I thought you had the Gordon Fisherman over there.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim, really, what does the Gordon Fisherman wear underneath his raincoat?
You don't want to know.
Oh, Scott's drinking tonight. Scott said, "I still have 8 more to go. I'm going to be as wise as Confucius by the end of the 12." Oh.
Yeah.
And apparently Barb was also curious about what the Gordon Fisherman wears underneath his raincoat too. So
I think he's Scottish.
Here's a good question for discussion, because I know how Jason feels about it. Corporal Calico asked, "Do you guys ever block anybody on eBay? I had to block someone after a string of questions telling me I was overpriced on global shipping program shipping." I use it. I was talking to Tara, if y'all know Tara from the morning show. I was talking to her. She's been doing it for a long time. She does use hers somewhat as well. There's some people I don't want to sell to. If you tell me that I'm a moron for pricing it too high, whatever, but then the guy comes in 5 minutes later and makes an offer or whatever, I just don't want to deal with them. So yes, I will add them to my block bidder list just to move on, because that's somebody that's probably guaranteed to not be happy, cost me a return, whatever. I'm going to sell it to somebody else. That for me just kind of simplifies my life. And if you leave me a negative feedback, you're going to get added to my block bidder list, because I don't want you buying again.
I don't really worry about it. Like I said, it takes a lot to get on my block bidders list. I mean, you got to really piss me off.
Well, they've made it easy now because it's right there on the Seller Hub page, and you don't have to hunt for it anymore. Yada yada yada. So it's not a big deal. I just cut and paste their name in there and move on.
Yeah, I mean, I said for me,
Eric, when you said that before, I immediately thought of that Coke tray that you tossed.
I didn't block. Did I block that guy? I don't remember if I blocked that guy or not. I can't remember if I did or not, but
I don't remember. But you found a solution for the problem.
I did. I just didn't listen.
I think your exact words. "Welcome to my block bidder list, motherfucker."
Yeah.
I did say that.
Like I said, I don't get mad very often, but every now and then you can just piss me off. It's stupid. I don't mind lowball offers, but don't play this dollar. Raise your. I come down to $5 or $10, and you come up $1. I'm sorry. That's just you give me in the right mood. I'll torch it. I don't give a shit. So.
Well, there was like the lady that I had. It was like the lady that I had that bought a beauty product and had it sent to her son at a federal penitentiary, because apparently she didn't change her her email, her address, and her eBay shipping, shipping thing settings or whatever. And so it gets there, and of course they open it and they're like, oh hell no, and they actually send it back with a letter from the federal pension. They wrapped it up really nice though. It was a nice, really nice package. Hey, we ought to hire the federal pen to start doing shipping for some people. But so they send it back. In the meantime, she's screaming at me, you sent it to the wrong address or whatever. And I just replied, really not, ma'am. I am so, well, I didn't say ma'am because I think it's condescending, but I said, I am so sorry you had a problem. Please understand that when I ship, I have to ship to whatever address that was given me. And she never requested a change of address, by the way, or I probably would have done it. It's not a big deal. It was an inexpensive item, and I'll just usually do it as a courtesy. And I said, that's where it went. I haven't gotten it back, whatever. Well, then it ends up coming back like 2 weeks later from the pen. And so I said, listen, and she's still screaming and ranting away. And I'm like, I'm waiting for the item to come back, And so finally I just said, listen, it did come back. I'm going to go ahead and send it to you. It's first class, $2.60 on my own dime. I'm so sorry you had this experience, but by the way, you might want to check your addresses because apparently you shipped to what I'm assuming is your son or somebody else with the same last name at that location before. And then I added her to my block bidders list. And then she comes back like a month later, I'm a regular buyer of this. Why can I not buy this item? And I said, because you went back and forth in like 15 emails with hate with me, and I don't really care if I sell it to you or not. I mean, kind of nutshell version. I was a little bit nicer about that, but no, go back from somebody else.
Do you remember what the item was that you tried to send to an inmate?
Yeah, lipstick. Was that lipstick you were selling?
Yeah, what was it that you were sending to an inmate in a federal penitentiary?
It was a beauty product.
It was lipstick. Come on, you can admit it.
Yeah.
Dusty didn't go with so he had to sell it. He can't help that.
Yeah.
Come on.
But Thrift Shop Hustler says extreme low ballers get blocked. I won't block a low baller. I just probably won't sell to you. But you made an offer, that's fine. If I got $100 item and you offer me $10, I'm probably gonna come back at like 90. But if you offer me $11, I'm gonna ignore you at that point. There's some people that just play on eBay, and it's easier just to ignore them. But pain in the ass people get blocked. Those are the ones that get blocked.
I don't have anybody on my block bidder list.
I don't block low ballers. I try to turn it into a positive by just countering, like, if it's at $100 and you offer me $5, I'll counter at 95. Just kind of say, hey, send a message. Hey, I'm like serious, but I'm not like seriously, I won't actually say that. And if they come back and, they counter again at like $10, I'll usually just decline, or I'll counter at 90 and say, listen, I've got more than that in the item and includes free shipping. I'm sorry, but that's the best I can do. And then they usually just go away.
Now, would they let you counter offer at a higher price? Like if they did that $100 to $5, could you counter at like 100?
No, no, you can't counter offer at higher than what you own the product for.
Oh, okay. Just curious, because that's
what I do quite often is if let's say like $100 and they offer like 20, I'll come back at like say 75, and they go to like 22.
That's kind of passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely it is. Yeah.
Roger, we have Clarence. Roger Noon said, if buyers
are... Call me Shirley.
If Clarence.
Roger, over, under, done over.
What's your vector, Victor? Sorry, we get a little sidetracked on this show sometimes. If buyers are taking more than 2 weeks to leave feedback, do you request feedback from them or just leave it?
Hell no.
As a new seller, I know it's tempting because you want as many feedbacks as you can get. Here's it with eBay or with Amazon, either one. I am of the mindset of leave well enough alone.
Yeah, no news.
If you want to leave it, they will leave it. Not everybody's going to leave it. You may stir the sleeping giant. I mean, you may have sent them something that they hated and they were unhappy and they were pissed off at you, and then you just refresh their memory. I would leave it alone.
Enough buyers leave you feedback, you'll get there eventually.
Bearded Picker says, have you ever visited a Turkish prison? What? No, he didn't really say that.
No, he's more of the grown man naked kind of guy. So
You're cream ab
Turkish baths.
No, I'm not.
Turkish baths are more his style. Dudes whipping each other with olive branches and shit. That's what he likes.
Balls all over the place.
But yeah, I would leave the what the.
Now I have this like.
I have this image of Zoki in a turkey bath now.
Oh yeah,
You
and
know,
the beard just makes it all that much better. Just
I now have a
Zilke
vision
shirtless.
I now have a vision of what was the one with all the eunuchs lined up? Was that Life of Brian? No, which Monty Python was that? Biggest?
Which one?
Yeah.
Never mind. I have to go Google that.
Oh.
Yeah. My new house on fire. Yeah. Well, you're not invited over to the barbecue then.
That's right. And we're gonna do it live in the Facebook group, and we're gonna call it the Scott Zilke Not Invited party.
Mike,
Yeah, me and Jason won't be there, but at least we've been invited. So.
I forgot about that. That's fun. Yeah, and like Jack Smack said, I've never requested feedback either, but our current active account has over scroll off the screen, has over 10,000 feedback on, so additional feedback has lost the new on it. I think once, just hang in there, and I forget who asked the original question, Roger, that's right. Hang in there, and once, if you're a lower feedback, have low feedback right now, hang in there. It'll grow, and once you get a couple hundred under your belt, you'll see more sales roll in. People get more confidence in you as buying from you. And then at some point, like, I don't even look at feedback. Like, I get negatives, and people are like, oh, you should call and whatever. No, because the rate I get feedback right now with what I'm selling, today I got 8 feedback. I've had 23 feedback in a day. I mean, it literally is going to scroll off that first screen within a day and a half. So, and I'm never, or what's the first? It's 25 per page by default. So it's going to scroll off in a day and a half. And that's another subject. I hear a lot of people go, I went so long without getting a negative, and oh, it really hurts, whatever. It's going to happen. There's invariably going to be somebody that is just the worst person on the earth that you're not going to make happy, even though you did everything right, and they just shouldn't, they shouldn't be shopping online, period. It's going to happen. Don't take it personal. Yeah, it does sting when you get your first negative, but I wouldn't really sweat it,
He did ask, so no feedback is better than bad feedback. Yes, I mean, feedback isn't as heavily weighted as it once was, but I think as a new seller, with only a few months under your belt, no feedback is better than bad feedback. Because just like sellers have their reservations about buyers with feedback, buyers have those same reservations about sellers. So that as clean as you can for the, till you get yourself rolling. And Fishing and Picking asks how the house stuff is going. It's progressing. We got conditionally approved. I got my list of conditions this evening, and we'll work on that stuff tomorrow. Nothing, too crazy on that list. So we're hoping to close by the middle of the month and move by the end of June.
Condition: the remains of my great-grandfather must be kept on an urn above the mantle at all times.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on in the chat anymore.
It froze.
Oh, okay.
I'm joking.
Talking about flooding in Missouri. Apparently, Mr. Sadie is from Arnold, Missouri, and that's where I have a lot of family at. So, my uncle lives there, and I got a couple cousins that live in that area. I'm not real sure if they're still in Arnold or not, but
I guess if you can't get a boat, get a really big sponge.
Roger's got another question. Being new to selling, do PayPal monthly release limits increase automatically, or would I have to call them and ask for an increase?
No.
PayPal,
Hang on, my bumpus is going off.
chill them bumpus dogs. Now your eBay limits, that's something you can call every 30 days and they'll look at. As far as that like hold, I guess they still do that of like, you know, once somebody leaves positive feedback or 3 days after delivery pass or whatever. I think that's what he's referring to with PayPal. I don't know.
I think it's 2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks?
I think they hold it 2 weeks now, yeah.
That I don't know. Maybe somebody in the audience knows.
It's until you get like 100 feedback, they'll hold it for, it's like 2 weeks or until the customer leaves.
I think it's 2 weeks. Yeah. I think now it's 200 sales or $2,500 in dollars. Sales dollars.
It's been so long since I've had to worry about that. So
yeah, I'm not quite sure what that is, but once you hit those levels, then it'll just automatically drop off. Then you get your money right away rather than waiting. I think it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Jim, I went and got car tags today, and you're gonna love Alabama. 3 cars and a motorcycle. 3 cars and a motorcycle, $218. And one of those is a curing childhood cancer tag that we pay an extra $50 a year for. Car tags here are cheap, and no vehicle inspections.
Yeah, that's a big plus.
That's about what it is in Ohio. I mean, it's not that much different. It's like $52.50 for a car, truck, non-commercial.
Well, they base it, of course, on the value of the cars, and you know, of course, we don't drive.
See, Ohio doesn't do that. It's just a flat fee for car, truck.
Taxes every year on, and it goes down the older the car gets.
Is it North Carolina does that. It's called a highway use tax.
Right.
Yeah, personal property tax is the same way it was in Arkansas and West Virginia. They pay personal property taxes on the property you own. Ohio doesn't do any of that. It's a flat fee for cars and trucks.
Yeah.
So that was cheap. If it hadn't been for the curing childhood cancer one, it would have only been like $168. I mean,
that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, that's cheap.
Dave Willoughby asked if anybody think it was unusual for a buyer in Canada to film the opening of a package from the U.S. to find it was missing the artwork for the game. I find that a little strange, yeah, but maybe that's their policy. I don't know.
That was a post over in the Facebook group. Somebody that's a fairly newer seller. They only have about 140 feedback, and they sent. Oh gosh, this is a whole discussion. They sent a $320 GameCube game, complete in the case with the artwork, with the manual, everything else. It was one where it has like 2 games together, and they sent it to Canada, first class mail, with no insurance, no. They sent it first class, and I don't even think you can do signature. Can you do signature to Canada with priority or not?
Canada might be some. It depends on the country. So Canada's probably.
I can't remember if Canada. They carry over on most everything else. But long story short, the buyer then does a YouTube video of their unboxing of cutting it open, which is a little odd to begin with. But you know, gamers probably do stuff like that. I find it really odd though when you went to the guy's YouTube channel, he had 3 subscribers. You know, which tells me he doesn't necessarily have a gaming channel. And he opened the package and claimed that the artwork was gone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Did this person that posted in the Facebook group probably get scammed? In that instance, I would say, yeah, something's really weird there, because I don't think that customs would have opened it and removed the artwork. That's really just odd. And I went back and they posted their original listing, and I looked at the original listing. The listing shows the artwork, everything else. Unfortunately, you're not going to have a leg to stand on. And I think it's an expensive learning lesson, but that's one of the reasons. Number one, I would never send a $320 item in a bubble mailer. I don't care what it is. It's going to get a box. And I probably, usually even on more expensive item, if it's over $100 or so, I'll bump it up from first class to priority, just because you get that extra at least $100 worth of added insurance. But I think it's a really good example on, you know, if you'd use the global ship, if that person would have used the global shipping program, that's a pretty good example of how they wouldn't have had. I just moved my camera. I was looking the wrong way. That's a really good example of how they wouldn't have had any issues probably to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, the person could have scammed, and done the same thing, et cetera, et cetera.
But you wouldn't.
But then it would have come back on global shipping, because global shipping is supposed to repackage stuff. Well, why did you take this? I don't know if they're supposed to inspect it and compare it against the listing, but it would have probably come back on them.
Yeah, I have a feeling the guy slit the package open, took the artwork out, and then retaped it, and then doesn't show that part of it when he's getting ready to actually open the product. So
Fishing and Picking had a good point. He said, did y'all see how he's handling the package in the video? A little rough on it for something that is worth $320 as a video game. Yeah, I did notice when it was bubble wrapped inside of the mailer, and the way he was pulling it out was a little suspicious. The whole thing about it stinks. Yeah, there are going to be scammers. It's going to be, even as a new seller, maybe if you did have a little bit of a target on your back, then again, there you go. That's that target audience that I was talking about. And it's a little, and I'm not saying don't sell video games that are worth $320, but you know, I would have shipped it for something like that. I would have shipped it with priority in a box with some extra insurance. But I would do global shipping, so I wouldn't have worried about it either.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think you do have to bump it up to priority to get the signature part. I mean, in this case, it wouldn't make a difference anyway for signature.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, you ship a $350 item and you saved $4 on shipping.
About that.
Seems kind of maybe not the best move.
I mean, that video is not gonna, you know, that's not proof of anything, you know. So I think he's worried. Oh, this guy's got proof. It's not proof of anything. I mean,
no, you said you sent it. It's going to be kind of. You said you sent it. Says he didn't get it. Yeah, that's one that's going to be interesting to see where it plays out. But the video doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't anyway, because I don't think they look at videos. You know, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think they take video. That would be good in like a court situation.
Well, that's where the guy's going to be a jerk. You just say, okay, well, send it back to me, and I'll refund you.
I just received an email that I got a comment on the storage unit video that says I bought a crap unit, but then it had like emoticons with the crying face. I think that was supposed to be a joke, but you know, it was total crap. I've been told that seriously by a couple of people. I'm like, yeah, that's why I've made money off of it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you've made your money way back on that unit already, and you haven't even really listed some of the better stuff.
Probably listed a third, quantity, like space wise, a third of what's in there, maybe.
That's a maybe.
Yeah, probably not that much.
I don't think you have. You've really only brought back maybe 4 or 5 boxes of stuff. I mean, and a couple of the bigger stuff, but
I think back to the other. I didn't mean to sidetrack that. Sorry, I just read that and had to, of course, blurt that out and share it. You know, I would recommend for any new seller, use global shipping program. Is it probably going to lose you a few sales because people don't want to pay the fees? Yes, absolutely. But international shipping is so freaking not complicated, but for somebody that's never shipped before in their life or that's fairly new to it, just try to learn domestic shipping before you even try to do international would be my suggestion.
Well, there's some groups out there that sit there and kind of laugh at you if you espouse the benefits of global shipping, and you know, they talk about how easy it is to do international shipping and everything. Well, that's fine. I'm sure it's just as easy as anything else. I just prefer not to worry about it.
Yep.
You know, sorry, it's easier for me, and somebody will buy it here in the States if you don't want to pay the extra fees or whatever it is. And you're not really paying extra fees. You're paying the duties that they're going to charge you from one end to the other. You're going to pay that. So why worry about it?
Dave Willoughby said another complaint, the Canadian buyer was he had to pay $78 or so in duties. Did the seller have a disclaimer in his listing about not being responsible for those? I think that's a disclaimer that's already made by eBay, is it not?
Yeah.
You don't have to put that in there because you can't be responsible for something you have no idea what it's going to be.
Now I will tell you, and Jack Smack said something that international buyers had to face, though their mail systems suck. Delivery sucks. There's a ton of corruption. That all comes with a price. And that's absolutely true. And that's one of the reasons that it's, once again, it's not that selling cable modems are bad or that selling electronics are bad. I just chose it's more hassle than what it's worth to me. I would rather concentrate on listing more crap to make more money. So I've chosen to opt into global shipping program. That's the only way I do international. If you don't like it, don't pay the GSP fee. I mean, somebody else will buy my item here in the United States.
Well, I also love it because it's in Kentucky, which is, I can ship a 10-pound package for like $7. So,
well, same thing for me. It's a state and a half away, and I guess for you, Jim, Kentucky's kind of next door-ish.
Yep. Jason gets hosed.
I'm more than fine not using the global shipping program because I make so much extra money on shipping fees for international buyers that, if you think about it, it just goes into a pool, and whenever anything does happen, there's money there to back it up.
Yeah.
But rarely does anything really happen, to be honest with you.
I think if the global shipping program didn't work, eBay wouldn't continue to do it. So there's plenty of international buyers that are buying through the global shipping program that we're worrying about the ones that aren't buying through that program. And there's always going to be somebody that's going to be willing to pay it that badly.
Yeah, I mean, I also want to state that I don't use the global shipping program because it's not available to the categories that I sell in.
Yeah, business and industrial is one of which you list a lot of in. That's one of those categories that is a lot of that stuff gets blacklisted or whatever, where it's not an option to opt into global shipping with it. Cosmetics is another one that gets kicked out a lot.
True.
No, is there a reason why the duty fees are higher with the GSP program than as if the seller just shipped it themselves?
Yes, because they tend to use different couriers with global shipping program. From what I've found, they don't usually just resend it on from global shipping through United States Postal Service. Duties are, okay, Cliff Notes version. For instance, FedEx and UPS run under old railroad laws as couriers, not under postal stuff. That's why, like, if I ship something from here to Canada and I do UPS standard, which is kind of like ground for international, it actually goes through a customs broker. They physically, well, not physically hand walk your items through customs, but they kind of do. So the customs and duties and brokerage fees are going to be a little bit higher. Whatever they are using with global shipping program to reship apparently is not United States Postal Service. So it's going to be a carrier that's probably going to come with brokerage fees, higher duties, higher customs. They've just rolled it all into like one, set fee, whatever they call it.
Oh, okay. I was wondering about that.
Yep.
Roger asked, what do you guys use more of or prefer to use? Priority, flat rate, regional, or a standard brown box? And would we use a standard brown box over a priority mailing box? Whatever's cheap.
When it's first class or below, or first class or media.
We use padded mailers. We use poly mailers. It's whatever's the cheapest and best way to get an item to your customer. I mean, it's if it goes into priority mail and I get in a priority box fits, I'm going to use a priority box all the time because I've gotten those for free. There's no money out for me for that. But sometimes the priority box doesn't fit, and so you got to use one of your own boxes. Now I buy boxes. I don't scavenge my boxes. I buy them. So, and I buy about 4 different sizes. So that way I have them always here. They're brand new boxes. I don't really care about the cost because in this grand scheme of things, just the mere fact that I have boxes that are going to fit what I sell, and I don't have to think about it, is less pressure for me in the mornings. When I go do my shipping and I sit there and look at it, I don't have to worry about, oh shoot, do I have a box that's going to fit?
Now I will say this, to back to the GSP for just a second. Somebody said, Jack Smack said, Pitney Bowes is also self-insuring with the higher fees. If you ever wonder what your buyer's paying when you sell something through the GSP, go ahead and print a packing slip, and it will show you on the packing slip. And they pay 2 different charges and they break them down. I can't remember what they're called. They're shipping and handling, and then something else. But obviously, Pitney Bowes, who runs the program, has to make money. So somewhere in there, back to what you asked, Jason. Let me back up on that. Their profit is no doubt built into that. They're not going to do the program for free. It's not a kickback that, eBay's like, hey, do this and we'll pay you to do it. No, they're making money somewhere in those fees that buyer is paying. They're paying for that global shipping. They're paying for some profit built in there too. Obviously, and I didn't think to say that.
Oh, okay.
I think for me, back to the shipping boxes, if as a standard rule, about 99 times out of 100, if it's first class, it's going to go in a bubble mailer or a small first class box that I buy. I got a 644 and a 664. I use occasional other boxes that I have, laying around that Amazon stuff came in or whatever. The standard priority boxes, I use regional A, regional B, occasionally medium flat rate. I use the small 665 and I use the big 12-12-6. Usually if it won't fit in one of those standard priority boxes that I'm shipping it, chances are it's too large or too heavy anyhow. It's probably going to go to FedEx anyhow. So that's where I jump up and I stock 12-12 boxes and 16-16 boxes and standard sizes like that. But most everything that's, I'm going to do obviously what's most economical. In the post office, most of their boxes kind of fit the bill for most everything I ship that's within that weight and size range.
I think basically, Roger, what you're hearing is
A lot of echo.
All right.
That's what you're hearing.
Keep a nice variety of boxes, bags, mailers. Go to USPS.com and get anything you can for free and do your research before you ship.
And you ask regional rates. He said whenever he checks a regional rate box, it's always higher. Is the regional rate more like the state? Regional is not based on a region. It's kind of a stupid name for the box. You're basically paying you pay a little bit for where you're sending it to, and you're paying a flat rate for the weight. So like a regional rate box is like an A is 2 pounds. You're going to pay the 2 pound rate for wherever you're sending it to.
It ships a hair over 2 pounds.
Yeah, it's like just like a few cents more, 30 cents more, or something like that.
It's
Regional B,
2 pounds plus 60 cents.
Regional B is going to be like a 4 pound rate plus 60 cents or whatever it is.
Yeah, so that you kind of think of it that way as if I'm shipping to California and I have a 5 pound box, but I can get into a regional rate A, I'm only going to pay the 2 pound rate. If I get into regional B, I'm only going to pay the 4 pound rate plus a few pennies. So it can be more economical. It's not always. Anything under 2 pounds, you don't really need to use a regional rate box unless it fits. Jim Benton has a carton sizer. Oh, you mean a box sizer?
A box resizer, yep.
Yeah, mine's right here. It looks like this.
Once you get good enough at it, and this is one of those that my dad taught me how to do, once again, a lesson from my father, but once you get good enough at, I was trying to think of a box here that I can cut down. Once you get good enough at kind of eyeballing it, you can learn, like, let's say I wanted to cut that down. I knew my item was about right there. Once you get good enough at it, you can slit and slit. God, this is a stiff box. And fold across, and then you can kind of fold your flap in, and then you can do the same thing on the second side, and you can learn to kind of do that without a box resizer. It's just something I actually was lucky enough to have a lot of experience doing that because my dad was too cheap to buy a box resizer at the UPS store. So he's like, here's how you do it. And, and he was a good teacher too.
Yeah, I've always cut my own boxes down. I've never got a tool. I'm bad enough with a knife as it is. Give me a tool with something on the end of it, I'm going to be like poking my eye out. So
Yeah.
It's basically like a mace on a spindle. But no, I have to
see my son attacking my dogs for barking too much. So.
Yeah, I have the box resizer. I won it in the Reseller Society back when they were giving stuff away for a post or a video or whatever. So I actually won that. If I didn't win it, I probably wouldn't have it. But I do use it every now and again.
Yeah, I just use I have like a little knife with a handle that I just, cut things down. I don't do that much box resizing, to be honest with you. If it's something oddball, I usually just have UPS pack it.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm shipping a lot more games, like I have a 12 by 12 by 12 box, and if the game's like 10 by 12, I'll slip it down in there, but it's only like 4 inches high, so now I got to cut that shit down. So
Now, I tell you what I do on that box you're talking about. If the game's only 4, I tell you what I do. Like on that right now, I can tell you just by the measurements in my head that cutting all 4 of the top flaps off, you're going to have more than enough box to fold in. And I would say every single one of those 4 flaps, because I do ship a lot of small decals, a lot of things like that. And I literally leave in between my 2 trash cans right here, I have a stack of flaps that I've cut off of stuff. Yep. And I use those scrap pieces of cardboard because they make perfect sandwich. I'm shipping this coaster because everybody wants to buy a used nasty coaster. Sandwiching it in between 2 pieces of scrap cardboard and then sliding it in a bubble mailer so it doesn't get damaged.
Yeah, I shipped out 2 butcher knives today using that method, putting a couple pieces of cardboard. I shipped them out in a poly mailer after I cardboarded them up. So
yeah. Hey Jason, your shelves are organized like a motherfucker.
Who said that?
D Skinner. He's really rambunctious.
Jason is the organized one of all of us.
Yeah, if you think that's bad, you should check out my whip. That thing is so neat.
See you later, Thom.
Good night, Tom. Good night, Thomas. Jack Smack said he did screw up the other day and used one of the eBay branded boxes and sent out an Amazon order, and he caught a negative off of it. Yeah, that's just an Amazon. That's sad. That's somebody on Amazon just being way too picky. They probably thought you drop shipped it or what. I mean, who knows? Or they went over to eBay and looked for the same item and found it cheaper and just automatically assumed you drop shipped it.
I actually sent out an Amazon merchant fulfilled in an eBay box, and I crossed off the eBay and wrote in Amazon.
And it got stolen off their porch.
Wow.
Maybe. Hopefully somebody finds the humor in that, but
I don't
I use Amazon boxes for eBay all the time.
Oh yeah, if I order from Amazon, I save the boxes because I will reuse those boxes. I mean, I'll reuse a box if I get it, but I'm not going out there digging for boxes or going to the grocery store for candy boxes that they are split and open and get into the dumpster or whatever. I'm just not going to do that.
We have friends that my father-in-law saves them for us. I have no problem with reusing. Bearded Picker, who's in the audience, gave me a giant bag, which is sitting over there, that giant black plastic trash bag, which I swear he's hiding bodies in it or something because I've never seen. I don't know why he has trash bags that big, but he gave us a bunch of air pillows. My father-in-law saves boxes. Our friend Tom saves boxes for us, whatever. And not all of them will I use because, like, my father-in-law doesn't understand. I don't want your drink boxes that your nutritional drinks came in or whatever. I'm just not going to ship. I don't like shipping in food boxes. I think it's tacky. I don't mind if it's an Amazon box or whatever, but there's not all cardboard is created equal, and I don't think a lot of people realize crush strengths on box. Jack Smack will know what I'm talking about. But crush strengths on boxes, double-walled cardboard. I mean, some things were not meant to ship in. Some things were meant to go from a factory to a store on a pallet, and that's all they were meant for. And it's a personal thing with me. I feel like the more potential negatives that you can remove out of an equation and getting your item to your customer, the less things you give them to bitch about, essentially. Use a nice box, package professionally, get it out the same day, if not the next day, if that's possible. If you're not, somebody's reselling and working another job. It's one of the reasons I use free shipping. It's one of the reasons I use that model. It's not the main reason. It's a very small part of it, but they can't gripe about the shipping costs, with the exception of the global shipping people. But, remove all those things that they could potentially gripe about, and then have the item nicely presented. And when they open it up and you've described it accurately and pictured it accurately, and you're just going to get less negatives that way, I feel. You do it right to begin with all the way around. Cover all your bases.
It just takes time. That's all. It's just one of those things that you gotta, as you build your business, it's the natural progression of your business. I think most of us started out with an inkjet printer sitting there and going through cartridges, and you realize, holy crap, I can't keep using an inkjet printer. It's costing me too much money to print. Then you step up to a laser, and then now you're, instead of scavenging boxes, you made that decision. I'm going to start buying better, better boxes and stuff like that. I mean, it's just the natural progression. As your business grows, you start to look for the time-saving things because now your time is becoming more and more valuable.
Which brings us to Roger Noon had also asked, do any of you guys use a thermal printer, and is it worth the investment instead of buying ink? I've been eyeing up on local Craigslist for $55 with accessories. I don't use a thermal. I've had a gazillion zebras, and every time I get one, I'm like, damn, I could get $100. That I actually still print on paper and cut it out. And if you ever watch the morning show on Chick Picker's channel, you'll see me doing it. I enjoy doing it. Are there days where I have 35 items to go out, like on a Monday morning, where it's kind of a little bit in the pain in the ass? Yeah, but for me, it's a checks and balance system too, because while I'm cutting that label, I'm looking at it. I'm making sure the barcode printed properly. I'm actually not just cutting on the line. I'm making sure my weight was correct. I'm checking different things like that. I'm glancing at the name to make sure it matches up with the packing slip, with the item and everything. And I'm just old school when it comes to that. And like I said, I've had a ton of thermals. I don't like it. So I still tape my labels to my packages. I probably will do that till the cows come home. Now that I use 3-inch tape, though, thank you, Jason, for talking me into that. With 3-inch tape, it only takes 2 strips across the label versus 3. So it does save me 1 extra swipe of the tape gun.
See, I use a thermal printer. I use my Brother QL550, and that one you can't print your. Yeah, I'm gonna wake it. You can't print full-size packing slips or full-size labels. You have to use the 2 1/4 or 2 1/8 by 7-inch long strip labels. But I'm fine with that because I said it's one label. I print my packing slips on a laser, and I print my shipping labels on that. And that one you can buy brand new off of Amazon for like $50. And then you get the labels come. They're like $8 for 2 packages of labels or something like that. I can't remember what they are, but I definitely prefer the Brothers. That's for certain.
No, Roger, I use plain paper, but I don't use inkjet. I use a thermal printer, and yeah, I could get the 2 up, and it's got an extra little tray, and I could click over and do it. And I'm like, it's really not a huge extra step for me to cut out a label. I mean, it takes me, let's say, 10 seconds to cut the label out, tape it on there, and I do it times 30 packages. On the worst day, 30 packages. So it takes me 5 minutes. Like I said, there's a reason behind it. I do a double check. I check. I mean, thermal labels will wrinkle on you occasionally, and if you don't catch that or whatever, or you might have something wrong in the address, or you look down and realize that something's not right, or you've got the weight off, or you picked the wrong box type, I use it as a double check.
Yeah, see, I don't have the weight on mine, so.
Yeah, I'm using a Dymo. I think it's 4X or something.
Yeah, you got the big one.
The big one, yeah, and I like it a lot. I mean, I use it all the time. I will add, because I guess maybe because I'm just old school, but I still tape over the labels like Dusty.
Even though you got a sticky-on thermal label, you're still taping over it?
Yeah, and even though thermal can't wear off in the rain, apparently, I still refuse not to use the tape. So.
I mean, it will fade and heat will affect it, but I mean, they're made anymore. It would literally have to, like, sit in the sun on somebody's front porch in Arizona for 30 days,
Yeah.
And even then, it's still going to be readable.
Yeah, I used to print half sheet labels on my LaserJet, but I've actually gone back to paper because the half sheet sticky labels was more of a luxury than anything else, and
that's what
we decided.
I use the half sheet sticky because it was easy, and then the thermal is even easier. But I've taped before. It's just what you feel comfortable doing.
I did the math one time on how much it cost me. You know, I ordered toner the other day for the brother. It was I don't know whatever brand this is. I ordered the Remans. It was a 2-pack off Amazon. It was like $16 for 2 of them. I did the math one time on how many pages I get out of the average toner cartridge, how much it cost me per page in toner, how much it cost me per sheet in paper. Now here's the other thing. I also get a lot of paper out of storage units. So my cost on paper is or I'll grab a ream, you know, it's only like $3 a ream at Walmart. But if I'm at a yard sale and they got a bunch of reams of paper and I'm like, what do you want for the 10 reams of paper? And they're like 50 cents. I mean, hell yeah, I'm going to grab every single one of them. You know, so my paper cost is really low, plus the 2 8-inch or 6-inch things of tape. And it was like 0.7 cents per label. I mean, that's not, I don't do it necessarily for the money saving, but it literally cost me nothing. And I'm now in my second brother printer in the last like 7 years, and I got 30,000 prints out of that last one. And it still was going strong. It was the drum that died, and I could have replaced the drum, but it was $16. So I just swapped it out for another printer that I had at the warehouse. So, I mean, I think it just depends. I mean, it's whatever individual people like. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. To get back to Roger's question, I think inkjet is the wrong answer, though.
Yeah, that's a wrong answer. Inkjet is something you use until you get enough money saved up to buy a laser. With a laser, you can do.
What about dot matrix, Eric?
Oh yeah, I do have a dot matrix for sale back there. I think Dusty's got one for sale right now. Mine's for an Apple though, so Dusty's is for a Commodore. You got the complete Apple setup with the printer, I'm sure. Your WAS edition.
Yes, I do. and a box of that paper.
Scott the Bearded Picker said UPS gives you free half sheet labels to use with USPS. Just saying.
Now, if I'm doing FedEx labels,
if everybody did that, they wouldn't be free eventually. I gotta say, I've never done it.
Yeah, when I do FedEx, I use my laser and just print them out and fold it in half, and I use the sleeves that's provided by FedEx to put them in. So. Yeah, Dave Willoughby says he's using an HP laser printer he bought in 1999. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No, I told you my favorite printer was that 5L HP, the top loading one. Labels would pop out the front of it. It's just so convenient. I miss that one.
I used to do the half sheets in this, and this is a Samsung, but because I could single feed half sheets in. So I keep my regular paper in here, and then when I go to print a label, I just single feed the half sheet labels in, and just boom. It'd be fine.
Dave Willoughby's still using HP laser printer about 99 with regular copy paper. That's got to be a 4L or a 4. Is it a 4P or 4L? Because I think I had one of those.
And I have word done, but it was mean to me the other night, so I'm not touching it tonight.
Could be a 3, 2, or 1. I mean, they're still all probably functional even to this day.
Yeah, it's really
I mean, some of the brother and the HP, well, I don't know about the HP, but some of the brother, Samsung, HP, some of the printers, I mean, you can pick them up when they run them. A lot of times Staples and places will run them brand new, really, really cheap, and they're just plain old black and white monochrome, and they're workhorses. And you can buy the refilled, Reman toner on Amazon or eBay or wherever, and it's dirt cheap.
Yeah, you should be able to pick up. I mean, you go to Staples and pick up a thermal printer or laser printer. I mean, for $100, $115. I mean, you can find them cheaper everywhere else, but I mean that just kind of tells you where it is. You can get them off of Amazon fairly cheap, but the shipping kind of eats into that cost.
Yeah, you can find them on sale for like $80.
But quite honestly, if you're in a thrift store, they usually have laser printers in there, and if you're in the thrift store, you can usually plug it in to test it. You can often find paper in them as well. You can run the test sheet on those. You if you can't figure it out, Google, it'll tell you how to run the test sheet on it, and you can tell if there's anything wrong with the thing.
Right.
Like on the brother, it's really simple. The last one I picked up for $10 at a thrift store. I said, "Can I plug it in?" I couldn't remember how to print the test sheet, and so I Googled it. And on the brother that I have, it's push the go button 3 times, which I actually just did one, and it pulls you up this nice little, where's my camera? Pulls you up this nice little sheet right here. It tells you how much toner you have remaining, how much drum life. I just changed the toner out today. How much drum life you have remaining. It'll tell you how many, the page count on this particular one. This is the one I just swapped out, and I've probably done 200 pages. It's only at 1401. When I bought it, it had like 1,200 pages on it. I was like, damn, the thing's like brand new for $10. But it's a little different on every single printer. But yeah, if it's got a piece of paper in it and they'll let you plug it in, you can tell exactly how old it is, or how much use is on it, rather.
I think we're all
Reseller asked if people still use dot matrix printers.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A lot of businesses do. I was just gonna say that, yeah.
If you're a business that likes to print in like 2 or 3 part forms, then a lot of people still use the dot matrices. I mean, I was at an auction where they had a car dealership that closed, and they had 5 or 6 Oki Data microlines that they were using there, and I tried to buy them because they went too much, because those are worth about $100 a piece on eBay. So,
well, that was the other thing I was about to say. Yeah, some of the Oki Datas, don't pass up the dot matrix printers. Some of those can be really, and they don't have to be Commodore, they don't have to be Apple, they don't have to be whatever, but the Oki Datas do really well. What's the other? There's a couple other ones. Epson's, yeah.
I mean, it's hard to find. I mean, but people still use them and have a need for them. But like I said, O'Reilly still uses the Oki Daddy Microline 321s. Yes, you can sell eBay stickers and tape on eBay.
Yep, somebody's asking about that, and yada yada yada. I almost considered, this was something Eric was helping me research it. This was something I toyed around with since we switched to the Anchor store. I was looking at whether or not, you get with the Anchor store, you get $150 per quarter worth of shipping credit for shipping supplies. I looked at what the price was before it came along to see the most current prices, like once the end of the quarter nears and people run out of the credits and all that. I almost spent the whole $150 on eBay shipping tape, because I was seeing what the prices were that it was going for, and I was looking at it, and what if we figured that I could make about $200 based on the amount of tape that I was going to get. I could sell it, and I could make about $200 profit after fees and after shipping, which would offset my store subscription by about $70 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about that, and then in the end, I was like, you know what? I don't want to sit here and ship eBay tape.
Yeah, it got to be more of a shipping, and then you're also looking at your supplies. If I don't buy them now, and I get it kind of for free, I'm going to have to buy them later anyway. So why not? It's.
And the thing is, I mean, regardless what store level you're on, the shipping supplies are nice. Yes. Are they extremely overpriced? Yes. If you get a $75 credit for a medium store subscription, I hate to say it, but it's not $75 worth of supplies. It's, like what was it, the 644 boxes? You were finding them for like about $20 shipped.
$20 shipped for 100, and eBay will give you 50 for like 1644 or something like that. So yeah, you're paying for $20. You're paying for $30 for actually like $32. You get the $20 from a different company. So yeah, you can find better deals out there, but it's free. So I mean, what I do is I order either the big boxes, like the 18, 14, 12s, things that would cost me more money that I'm not going to use hardly at all.
Yep.
So I order those bigger boxes, and I know Dusty orders like the padded mailers, the padded poly mailers.
Well, we ship probably more we ship probably 60-70% first class versus 30-40%. Anything else, because we ship a lot of small stuff.
But yeah, I'm kind of the thing is, since I'm gonna have I'm not gonna use that many, once a quarter. If I use all 25 big boxes, that's pretty good for me. So
yeah,
we ordered 200 of the 644 boxes with our credit. and 400 of the 6.5 by 9, 6.5 by 8.75 eBay air jackets. So, and that actually will not get us all the way through the quarter. It'll probably last a month and a half. So I'll have to buy from somebody else. But I figured, go ahead and use it towards something. And that was 149. I just pulled up 149.08. So it used all but 92 cents of the credit. What'd you order, Jim?
18 by 14 by 12s. I got 25 of those, and I thought I'd have them for a while, and I'm almost out.
I have one left after this morning, and that's a good size box because it's just long and rectangular enough to be really useful for weird stuff.
Well, yeah, those are the ones that I'm cutting down mostly since we're selling through all of our games here. Then I buy 16 12/8s.
Yep, those are good.
Yeah, and then I spend whatever's left on poly mailers.
This last round I bought 50 each of the 10 by 10 by 10 and the 12/6/6 because I had plenty of the other sizes at the time. So
Jack Smack said, watch the padded mailers, the ones we got in this last round, one whole package. The mailers were split down the side. I would contact them. They're probably already aware of it and they're pretty good. Like they screwed up my order 2 quarters ago, and they're pretty good about sending a replacement, especially if you're not the first one to complain, because they have several like that. And when you message them, include a couple pictures, like show a stack of the mailers. They'll probably just send you a new box. But it's kind of funny you mentioned that. This is kind of non-reselling related, but I ordered these off of Amazon, and they're Glad trash bags that I use for my small trash can right here. And I fought my way through this 90 count box through the first partial roll of it. And every single bag that I'd pull out, I'd dump all my empty beer cans and papers and whatever. I'd start packing it in, and the side would just blow out. And I was like, So I grabbed my tape gun and just, tape over the seam and make Gabe carry it out and put it in the green can, because once it's in the can at the driveway, I really don't care. I finally got tired of it the other day, and I said something to the guys, and they're like, why don't you call Glad? So I got on Glad's website, and I just really nicely, I sent them a picture where the seam was blown out and everything else. They responded back, we're so sorry. And I said, the whole roll's this way. And they're like, we're so sorry. We need the purchase place, price, amount paid, and your address and phone number or whatever. So I responded with all that on Amazon, like $13, whatever. And they sent me, about 4 days later, they sent me 2 coupons for any Glad product up to an $8.50 value. So that was and told me to throw them away or keep them or use them or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool. Company that stands behind their stuff. So now I can go buy more trash bags.
Hefty.
Hefty. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I've done that with other companies as well in the past. A lot of times they'll just refund that quarter that it got screwed up with eBay shipping supplies. They ended up just crediting me back, which, believe it or not, puts that original coupon code back in your coupon code bank, and you can actually use it again. And so I got to order new supplies all over again and keep the partial orders.
Yeah.
Which actually was like 300 bubble mailers, because they screwed the order up twice. But I think the key to it was to show them, just as we hear resellers on our end say, and they are resellers themselves, that, it's a scam or whatever. I very specifically sent them pictures of where it came in, sent the fact, okay, this is not 400, because your banding is still around it. And it's very obviously that it's clear, that it's 2 100 count boxes. You were supposed to send me 400. And, and here's a picture of your shipping label where the weight, says this and that and the other. And I was just really nice about it. I understand that things happen, but y'all need to know you have a serious glitch somewhere. Somebody somewhere is pulling the wrong boxes and doing the wrong, doing the orders wrong or whatever. And they were apologetic about it. And I didn't really have to go round and round with them. And they're like, just keep them and we'll send you more. And they screwed up the second time, and then they just credited me back the whole amount. I spent it all over again. That was a good month.
Yeah.
Jack Smack said, yeah, we did, and they sent new ones. It was the side with the thinnest fin where the perforations are.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about their bubble mailers, we were talking about this the other day, the ones that I order from an outside company, like I think it's Value Mailers or whatever. I think this is a really cool concept that it's resealable and all that, but what a giant freaking waste of money. Why not just give us a little bit more plain envelope, drop the price a couple bucks where people can get more of them? I don't think I've had anybody yet send anything back, and if they did, it was maybe 1 or 2 people. This is kind of an unnecessary feature.
Because I think people, when they open those things, they either take a pair of scissors to them or they just shred them when they open them and don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they totally don't read. They totally don't read that crap. You should watch our 16-year-old son open stuff.
I take a big wad of tape and just jam it all over that so they can anyway.
You're not sending this back to me.
That's true. Today was the first day of the new spring update.
Yes,
Yeah.
LV Looper said, I know I'm late, so maybe I missed this discussion, but it's May. Has the eBay sky fallen yet?
I'm chinging. I'm not worried about it.
Somebody's blowing up over there.
I'm selling Hawaiian shirts, man. I'm telling you. Tonight. I sold 2 shirts tonight.
There's Nikki.
Sweet.
Jason gave you a shout out in the beginning of the show, Nikki.
Yeah.
What I don't remember what was supposed to have started as of today.
It was the spring update. Everything that the spring update applied to the new seller standards, the new. So we should be able to go to performance. And it should have the new updates on what it takes to be top rated and late shipment and all that stuff. Looks like yeah, for late shipment rate, top rated is 3% or less. Let's see. Tracking unloaded. That's still. I don't think they've updated because it looks the same. Transaction defect rate was 0.5. That's the same. So they may not have updated it until you go through a cycle, because we're technically in the mid-April to mid-May transaction period for your store subscription.
Biggest thing was that top rated plus discount from 20 to 10%.
Oh yeah, that'll be.
That's the biggest gripe that everybody had.
Which in theory, if you do the math, was only 1% of your total selling price.
Right.
Yeah, because it's 20% discount from a 10% discount on maybe 9%. I mean, so yeah, it's not a whole lot of dollars. It's just, it seemed like a big number, but it's not when you think about the number.
But today, all the third-party ads were removed. So
that'll be interesting. So that maybe we'll see
yeah,
a little bit more activity then.
I wish they would have given us enough time about that.
well, yes. So I guess March to January to May was not enough time.
To get all your defects under control?
No, the what is that? The
Final value fees?
No. The listing, the
The third party?
Yeah, the third party stuff. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it affected things so much that I never even really paid any attention to it. So.
Yeah.
And they gave us, what was it, like 6 months to get rid of them?
Think about it, yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. I guess Optiva and all that stuff is not going to be valid anymore, and
No.
anybody that had any active content in their listing is not going to work anymore. And I don't know how. Would that mean even a YouTube listing?
Jack Smack said, oh, sorry.
Well, a YouTube, like if you put a YouTube video in, is that considered active content or not? I don't think it is, but I really don't know.
Smack said the only new thing I noticed was under the search pane where you can limit your search to show only. It now shows deals and savings as the fourth default option, when before it was just 3 options. So it does appear that eBay is following through with their statement that sale listings will get more exposure. I think they're trying to, I mean, it's okay. Let's go Cassini for a minute. It only makes sense if you were going to create a website, and they've obviously have some brilliant programmers behind the scenes, and they obviously have some programmers that screw things up on a continual basis where like suddenly things just quit working or whatever. But I think it's every website. But for the most part, they do a good job. But if you were a programmer, a group of programmers for a multi-billion-dollar corporation that needed to create an algorithm of whose items do we want to show more, it would only naturally make sense that you're going to favor the people that pay you more in fees, that you're going to favor the people that ship quickly, that have quick handling time, that respond to questions. I mean, all the Cassini things that we've gone over, I mean, they put a lot of thought, some probably half-assed thought, but I think they really sat down and thought that stuff through. And I think that's where figuring out how do I become the most visible to get the most sales, I think that's what we've all kind of preached, or the 4 of us have kind of preached, is how to perfect that and become the best of the best, how to make yourself stand out. When the seller update came out, people were like, well, I'm not going to ship fast anymore. I'm just going to get rid of my handling time. They're going to take away my top rated seller plus. What's the point? Because you're not just hurting yourself by saying, well, screw it, I don't want that 1% extra discount that they're taking away. I'm going to be pissy about that. You're hurting yourself in so many other ways. That's the whole point. It's a game. You're a hamburger stand on eBay, and everybody else is selling hamburgers. They're just selling a different kind of hamburger. How do you make yourself be the best hamburger seller out there? How are you going to draw the most attention to your listing to get people to come into your hamburger stand versus the other? That was probably a horrible.
I'm going to say mustard and ketchup.
If you know what, if you're selling Little Caesars shitty pizza and everybody else is selling Little Caesars crappy pizza, then how do you make yourself stand out as having the best Little Caesars crappy pizza?
Or bacon. Bacon makes everything better.
Yeah.
No, but it's just, I think I don't know. It's just, it works for me, and it's working for me, and my sales are great. And so it's not that necessarily I have better items, although I think I definitely have grown in that area, and I try to. But I think there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. I think too many people throw their crap on eBay and go, well, it's going to sell. Well, I don't understand why my stuff's not selling, because there's so much more to that.
LB Looper asks, does moving to a 3-day handling time affect Cassini? I think it does.
I think versus somebody that has 1 day. If you had a competitor that had 1 day and you had 3 day, yeah, I think it would. Number one, you wouldn't show fast and free. I mean, if you're doing free shipping, you wouldn't get that fast and free logo. And they eBay's flat out told you that you get better exposure with that. And that's one of the reasons I do free shipping, is because it puts a little freaking green truck next to your name and it makes your listing stand out from everybody else's, not to mention the exposure bump. I mean, I don't do free shipping on everything.
About 95% of mine.
Jack Smack said the other thing too, a fast handling time is good for the seller as well, as it gets it out of your inventory and you're no longer dealing with it. You don't have to worry about it being damaged, etc. Here's my take on that one as well. If your buyer doesn't realize, let's say you had a 3-day handling time, they're waiting up for a wedding, you've got to think like your buyer, and you don't know what reason they're waiting. So maybe it's for a birthday gift, it's for a wedding coming up, whatever. They're already really nervous. It's now Friday. They have the event Saturday. They're waiting on the mail, and it's still not there. You've given them a reason to complain. Mm-hmm. Versus, what if you'd have just shipped it out? What if you'd have just shipped it out on Monday instead of waiting till Wednesday or Thursday? They would have already had it. Then if maybe the shade of the color was a little bit off, whatever else, at least they're already relieved it got there, and maybe they can mentally deal with the color being off a little bit, if that makes sense. You've given them one less reason to complain. Barry Worth says Scavenger Life has had 30-day handling time. That's when they go on vacation, and they've still sold items. That's when they go on vacation. I personally would just shut my store down and enjoy my vacation. To each their own. I think they also, from the videos I've watched, they have to do a lot of explaining, or a decent amount of explaining and following up with people while they're on vacation. You know, that they're, hey, you're not going to get this. We're out of the country, whatever. Me personally, if I'm on vacation, I want to enjoy vacation, but that's, you know, to each their own.
They also have several thousand items for sale. So
Yeah, that'd be a pain to shut it down, but be more of a pain to answer questions all vacation long too.
right. But what I'm saying is, if you have, let's say, 5,000 items and you're selling, 10 items a day, is that really successful? When you could sell 1,000 and still get to that same number.
And I think there's a lot of people that don't read the handling. Nikki Popular Picker said last summer I had 30-day handling. It was one of my biggest selling months. I think there's a lot of people that don't read the handling time. I'm not really going after that. I'm going after the how much more could I have sold to outshine my competition because I have fast and free out next to my name, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I used to build websites, and one of the biggest things that my bosses would tell me is you have to get as many designations on the bottom of the page as you can. One would be like PayPal verified, another might be Better Business Bureau A+ rating, authorized.net credit card verification. Like, there's all sorts of different buttons that you can put down there as long as you qualify on each of those services. And you want to put as many of those down at the bottom, because when people come to that site to buy your, whatever selling, gun holsters was one. So, so that's a way to think about eBay, and you want to have as many designations as you can to make the buyer feel comfortable with buying from you rather than someone else.
That's true.
All right, handle that.
Rant over.
Rant over. LB Lipper wants to know if you designed Pornhub.
Yep, that's it. You got it. First one. No, it was all e-commerce sites, custom magnets, custom flashlights, so on and so on. So flashlights, yes. Yes.
So
I can't do it.
How'd that do for you, Jim?
That was my last job. My last job.
So it kind of takes that Neil Diamond song, did you, turn on your heart light, little different take to it when you think of it like that. So
yeah.
Did you just get compared to Neil Diamond?
Sort of e-commerce. I think so.
I think, I was sitting here looking again. I was looking at my promoted listings, and I'm sitting here looking again. And guys, I keep those going on a regular basis. And I forgot about it for about 3 or 4 days. And it shows you on your promoted listings dashboard. And I literally went from like, bam, impressions up here. And I wondered why my sales have been a little slow for the last week and a half. Part of it is I haven't been listing as much. And I literally watched the impressions just go down like that. And then immediately yesterday, when I started back up, when I thought, oh crap, I don't know how I forgot for like a week, my impressions went back up and my sales went through the roof. Get into I talked about this in the morning show, but get into the habit, put yourself a sticky note. Just try this experiment. Use promotions, use promoted listings. On promoted listings, I've started going by the apply trending rate. I used to do a really generous, like 15%, and then I changed it to apply trending rate. And I get exactly the same great sales. It didn't seem to make a difference. But put yourself a sticky note on your monitor every morning, or set an alert on your phone. Check your promotions, check your promoted listings, and check your markdown manager, and just keep a freaking rolling sale going. Even if it's only 10% off, or 20% off. Set yourself. What do you do, Eric, on your sales?
I always bounce it around. I go for anywhere from 11 to 22, and it just whatever the number that pops in my head. I don't do 10, 15, or 20 though. I'm always going to pick that weird odd number. So if I want to do 20, I'll do 21 or I'll do 19. But I'm always running a sale. You know, if I'm not running sale, it's because I forgot to reset my sale. And I do 2 days. I do 2-day sales.
And you taught me that. I was doing 1-day sales, and what I realized is that, you know, there's something to the listing if people look at it. It'll actually tell you sale and promotion ending soon, or sale ending soon, limited time left. I can't remember exactly what it says on the mobile. I noticed that the other day. But you want to create that sense of urgency. And so if you're running a sale at 10% off or 20% off or 22% off or whatever it is, and you're running it over and over and over again, it's constantly going to have it showing sale ends in 17 hours. You're creating a sense of urgency. It's just basic sale marketing that every store in the world does. You know, it's why grocery stores don't run ads for an entire month. It's why they run weekly circulars. I think brick and mortar are a little bit different thing. I personally wouldn't recommend, you know, you're dealing with e-commerce where it's a little bit faster paced. But you got me to switch from the 24-hour sales to the 48-hour sales. Now, what you got to remember too is not everybody's checking their email. We are all e-commerce people, and everybody watching this, so we're constantly on our phones. So if you create a 24-hour sale, and this was my thinking when you pointed it out, is that not everybody's going to see it because not everybody checks their email every 24 hours.
Yeah, I just, for me, 48-hour sales, I was seeing a trend where I was getting more and more sales because of that. And because I was trying the 24-hour sales, and I was like, yes, because a 24-hour sale isn't really 24 hours. It's usually, you know, 26 or 27 hours because you can't do less than 24. And I like to end my sales right around 5:30 Pacific, so about 8:30 Eastern. And then I'll reset the sale. You know, if I think about a reset of that day, or I'll reset it first thing in the morning. So I'm thinking about when people are starting to shop. And the chat is all about the 900 numbers.
I think it's just something, you know, especially if you're a new seller, don't be scared to play around with that. You don't have to put everything in your store on sale at one time. I mean, you can throw a couple items on, you can play around with it, but just try it, you know, try it on a couple dozen items or a handful of items or whatever, and just keep those sales kind of going. But I think that definitely don't do the longer sales. How does that create a sense of urgency? It doesn't. If somebody clicks on it and they go, hey, I'm interested, and they get an email, hey, this item you're watching is on sale, and they click on it and the sale ends in 7 days, that's not going to incentivize them to go click on it and buy it now and catch it while it's cheaper. They're going to, in the back of their mind, they're going to go, oh, I'll save that email. And we all know how that works out. We never go back to those emails. I don't.
Yeah, and that's the key for me is when you open it up and so you see that countdown clock. It's why we do 10-day listings. It's why we 7 or 10-day listings. We're getting that going, gone, that buy it now, so we get the higher search bump. But it's also someone clicks on it and says, oh, I've got 4 days to make up my, or 4 hours to make up my mind on this, or I've got forever because there's no end date on it because it's a good till canceled. I want that sense of urgency. I mean, that's, it's all about manipulating the buyer into thinking that they want it while they're looking at your listing.
Somebody said there's the guy that sells gun holsters and rarely ships in a timely way and makes YouTube videos insulting customers, and sales are through the roof. I have no idea what that's all about, but there are some people that are the worst business people, and I know one specifically that has had a brick and mortar business for and I'm not gonna say he's the worst business person in the world, but he's had a brick and mortar business for about 50 years, and he does everything wrong. And the running joke with myself and my friends is like, this guy just makes money. The thing is, he found a niche or whatever how you want to pronounce it, and he cashed in on it. And I think that sometimes that can override, and it's a one of a kind kind of thing, and that can override the fact that he's doing everything wrong, because people just can't get that anywhere else. So
yeah, I mean that's the craziest. And gun holsters is a little different business. If they're custom, that takes forever to make.
we are the knights that say niche. Scott, that's 3 good ones tonight, buddy. You're on a roll.
Yeah. You must be like 10 in by now.
Who are we talking about? I have no
When
idea.
I get back and we're talking about carpet.
Hey Jim, I don't know what's scarier, your video right now or that icon you put up when you're gone.
That's my take a dump face.
It's scaring the hell out of me, man. I keep looking over and I'm like, ah.
Yeah. So I just had to excuse myself because my youngest son was upstairs crying. And I got up and I heard my wife run to the room. So I'm like, all right, she's got it. Like, moms are just so much better at that, like, kind of thing. Like, I heard him crying it, and then I started going to the stairs, and then I heard her going. So I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll go make myself a sandwich. Little half peanut butter and jelly sandwich, trying to wake up.
My wife's got the kids. I'll go make myself a sandwich. That's awesome. Wow. And I hope she's watching the show while she's caring for your child.
No, she'll probably watch it tomorrow.
It's because
But, yeah.
she knows that if Jim had gone up there, he would have been rub some dirt on it, kid. You're fine.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, when she's asked me to go and get somebody because they're crying or they fell, I'm like, they on fire. And if I'm sleeping, especially, like, if are they on fire, then they're all right. Like, that's my that's my threshold. Like, if nobody's on fire, then we're okay.
Yeah, we used to always say if it's not bleeding, you're not hurt. And then if they get a little scrape and there was a little bit of blood welling up, I'd say, well, it's not gushing. Can't hurt that much.
Right.
So my kids have a rather large tolerance for pain because we just didn't tolerate that, you know. You're not hurt.
We used to make Travis apologize to the sidewalk for falling on it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, walk it off, rub some dirt on it. You'll be fine.
Right.
That's horrible, man.
Horrible.
My dad used to say, if it's too far from your heart to kill you, get up. And I was like, too far from your heart to kill you. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So how's everybody? I was gonna say, how's everybody's week been for sales? Because we're only like 12 hours into the week. So has the summer slowdown started yet, or what are your thoughts on seasons? I know with you, Jason, it's like,
Oh no, I've been kicking it like Pele.
Kicking it like Pele. Great. Now they're going to talk about soccer for 30 minutes. But
I tell you, April kind of sucked. It just sucked a little bit. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, I still did good sales. I mean, I still, averaged pretty decent amount. Just not what I had been averaging. And I think that was more of the, oh my God, the winter's finally starting to get over, and people are actually kind of going outside more, not sitting on the computer all night long. So, that'll wear off. As soon as the heat kicks in, then people are like, oh hell with this, I'm going to go in air conditioning. I'll shop from there. So,
yeah.
But like I said, I didn't see a slowdown last summer.
I think, the years of doing it, I really don't. Nikki says her sales suck.
Well, you gotta have
to ended all your listing.
You list everything and then go, God, my sales suck. It's kind of a.
In the years of doing, I don't see seasons though. I mean, we talked about this a little bit before. Like, I see fourth quarter definitely being bigger, but that's every business, not just e-commerce. I mean, that's just a bigger spending quarter. And I think if you're selling the right kind of stuff that the right kind of people are looking for, I mean, people, you're not going to see a slowdown. People don't quit buying coffee pots. Their coffee pots break year round. Or I'm just trying to think of like certain examples.
Yeah,
they don't quit buying tape guns because it's summer and I don't need a tape gun. You know?
But you can see some what I would call more of a micro trend where you see a little bit of a slowdown, mainly because, like I said, a seasonal change can do that, where people who are used to being inside, so they have more opportunities to buy, are starting to get out there and get out in the sun doing yard work and catching up on stuff, so they're not quite as focused on buying stuff. I see a little bit of that. Again, it wasn't a huge downturn. I mean, I'm not talking like a 50% change, maybe 15%. But again, I'm not worried about it. Next month I'm off to a good month already. Maybe it'll be, next thing I know, it'll be a 20% increase. I mean, who knows?
I think it's selling things that people. I think there definitely is a difference between impulse items, and selling needed items. But I think there is a market for. I feel like there's a market for impulse, or not impulse, but certain collector markets just don't slow down.
Oh no,
I mean, there's hobbies that old men with a lot of money have. They don't slow down and go, well, it's summer, I'm not going to buy, or the stock market went down a little bit, I'm not going to. They're still very adamant about what they buy, and those types of things. That's just one example, but those types of things I don't feel like have really a slower season.
Yeah, but it can. If a seasonal change can take away from the buying a little bit, but again, I think it's a very quick little mini. We're gonna have a little bit of slowdown and it'll go right back on.
So, Fishing and Picking, a couple of us typed at the same time, said, Fishing and Picking said, April was great. Let me tell you about her. And then we all asked, was she Amish?
They got great ankles. That's what he's thinking.
Hey, I was in the DMV line today with two older women that they were either like, church of whatever, we call them holy rollers. I don't know what the correct terminology is. And I'm not making fun of people, but they had the bun, hair in the buns and the long denim skirts, and the old man that they were with. I stood there and looked at him and I thought, and he was probably like 75 years old. He's got his boots on, his hat, he's got his thumbs. He's literally wearing Big Smith overalls, the kinds with the blue and white pinstripes. And of course, I can't stop staring because I'm like, I wonder what those overalls are worth on eBay. But I mean, it was just the old. I was out kind of at the rural, a little bit more rural satellite office because I thought the line would be shorter. But yeah, I thought about you today, Fishing and Picking, when I saw those two ladies. They weren't Amish, but they were a sneeze away from Amish. Jack Smack said, I think auctions are a little more risky during the summer months for the reasons expressed, i.e. less people online rather than outside. That could be, but I think auctions anymore are risky overall. I'll give you a really good example. Somebody asked earlier how the NASA piece went, and I will just go ahead and talk about it. I paid $200 for it. I ran it on auction. I ran it for 5 days, and it started going up. There was one day we were all sitting in a hangout, and my phone's going brum, 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 and somebody's just running the bid up. It ran up to $320 as of Sunday morning, as of yesterday morning, and it sat there, and I did not get one single bid all the way through the end of the auction. Now, that may have been all it's worth. It wasn't space flown, which I think hurt it. It was made specifically for the space shuttle, but it never saw the space shuttle. So yeah, was it a cool piece? Yes. So I don't know. Could I have had better luck at instead of the $1,299, and I did run on sale, it got down to about $1,000 or best offer. I got no offers. I had a lot of watchers or a lot of views. I didn't get a ton of watchers at that price. Could I have run it like $799 or $600 or whatever and gotten more? I don't know. It's really interesting though, because that category is usually pretty hot, but I just don't think it was the right item for NASA collectors because it wasn't space flown.
Yeah.
It's just odd. But yeah, like Nikki said, at least I made a profit. And that's what I told the guys last night. I was like, well, that sucks, but I still made some money after, after fees and after shipping. And And it was cool. I got to own the piece. I got to own the piece for a short period of time, and that was a cool thing. Anytime I can pick up anything NASA, I mean, I don't care. I'm going to grab it regardless. But yeah, that's basically where it goes. Thrift Daddy says scrap gold has no season. That's a really good example. Yeah. iPhones, but I think you have people that are buying that for certain reasons, like iPhones. I've sold a lot of iPhones over the years on eBay, and they always end up going to cell phone shops. Those are business buyers buying business items. Bullion is another great example. Those are investors. They don't sleep. Investors don't sleep. Jason's type of items like tool equipment, those are people that keep those hobbies year round. I think with like, if you're going to run a t-shirt auction or a jeans auction or a coffee mug auction, yeah, you're probably, number one, I wouldn't do it any time of year, me personally, but I think summer, yeah, you might see a slowdown.
The thing about the NASA piece, though, is you knew when to kind of cut it and just move on with it, you know?
Exactly.
You didn't keep it on your shelf for a year and a half.
Exactly. And Barry Worth said NASA space flown tiles, yes. Contractor pieces, never used, no. I will disagree. I got a bunch. I mean, I agree. I totally agree. But I would disagree a little bit. I had managed to get a hold of some never flown Mylar blankets that were used for the payloads within the space shuttles a couple of years ago from a friend that got them from a surplus auction. They had never gone up, but I was still getting about $250 a piece for them. They were still bringing really good money. This particular piece that I had was known to be a design flaw, as something that was examined and then redesigned, as it could have been a cause of the space shuttle explosion with the Challenger accident. So I think that had a little bit of interest there. But yeah, I mean, generally, yeah, flown stuff's always going to bring crazy, stupid money. Yep. You just don't find flown stuff as much around here.
You got your astronaut P.
Astronaut what?
Your astronaut P.
I do have astronaut P. I do actually have water that was made on the International Space Station from the specific systems that recycle the urine and everything else and turn it into purified drinking water. And it's 2 bottles of astronaut piss that are drinking. The guy I bought it from was the same guy with the other space piece, and he's like, "I'd drink it right now." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to buy it if you open it and drink it, although I'd pay to watch that." You got a little John Glenn in you. You want to? Although he wasn't, I don't think he was ever on the International Space Station.
No.
Barry Worth wants to know, is Mary Kay still Vero trigger happy?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I mean, have they been? I mean, you tell us. So.
Roger Noon is going to head out. Thanks for stopping by and asking questions. And he did ask to join the Alabama Pickers group as well. I saw that. So, get him in.
You're in, Roger. Roger, we have clearance, Clarence.
Over, under. You're over. Done.
I don't know. Vero is one of those things. There's a lot of things that crack down. I mean, the Velcro thing I thought was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you want to ruin your reputation as a brand. Not that they really care, because people don't really set out to buy Velcro unless they're crafters. They're selling to larger people, that make things that have Velcro. There's, the distributor really, or the manufacturer selling to another manufacturer to put on an item. But I think you can, it's happening a lot on Amazon. I think you get a reputation as being a douchebag company.
I mean, if you're a company that sells hook and loop fastener and somebody calls it Velcro, I mean, as the other company, you should be angry that you're not getting any brand recognition. But Velcro is stealing all that. If it's hook and loop, oh, it's got to be Velcro. Even though it may not be Velcro, I would think Velcro would be happy with that. They finally attained the Kleenex stage.
Right.
You know, where not every tissue is Kleenex, but every Kleenex is tissue. I mean, it's one of those, you know, give me a Kleenex. Well, oh, give me a nose tissue or whatever. No, it's Kleenex.
Nose tissue.
Yeah.
Give me
some candy.
Fetch me one of them booger holders.
That's right. But I mean, that's the goal of any company, is to become so recognized that your brand is now the generic name for that item. And you should be glad of that. And they're doing everything they can to not do that.
That's like golden.
Jack Smack asked, I wonder how much of that is Amazon running third-party sellers out of the market after they've identified as a market they can profit in if they are one of the only providers. Well, I mean, you know, Amazon was the only original provider before they let third-party sellers in. I think they still depend on third-party sellers tremendously. I don't think, and I hear that all the time, they're running off third-party sellers. They hate third-party sellers, yada, yada, yada. No, I think there's a lot of politics and a lot of legal stuff that goes on behind the scenes that most of us that aren't versed in that kind of thing don't stop to think about. You know, if you are Nike and Amazon, for instance, is selling Nike on a regular basis, and they go to re-up their next order, and Nike goes, hey, listen, we need to sit down here with our attorneys and talk. We got a real big issue. We're not going to sell you Nike anymore as long as you let all this counterfeit, whatever. I mean, what's Amazon going to do? Go, hey, we're making tons of money over here, but we've opened the floodgates for the counterfeit. No, they're going to shut it down. Does Amazon take a sledgehammer approach? Yes, and probably not the approach I would necessarily take, but personally. But I think they're doing what they have to do to protect their own interest in brands that they still want to be able to sell.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that it's a very calculated on a level that none of us can even fathom because we don't do business on that level. And we don't have teams of attorneys and things like that. I think there's a lot of that goes on behind the scenes. But it's easy for us as resellers to sit here and say, and I'm not bashing you by any means, Jack Smack, but I think it's easy for us in general as resellers to sit here and go, well, they don't like third-party sellers. They're trying to run the little guy out. No, they're protecting their bigger interests. You know, because at the end of the day, they're probably making more money selling their own stuff. I don't remember the exact figures than they are off fees off of third-party sellers.
Yeah, but think about it. Third-party sellers means all they're doing is being the fulfillment center for it. If they're doing FBA or merchant fulfill, they're just the software provider. They actually make money on something they already own and have. Yeah, you think about that. I mean, they prefer third-party sellers in the grand scheme of things, but it's as a reputation, though, they carry certain items that they want to make sure that they can deliver on.
I love Jason's answer to the audience. You know, it's he's a man of little words, but when he does, he types it. Jack Speck said, no, I don't mean run them out because they don't like the little guy. I mean run them out in the sense they're start sourcing the product the third-party seller was selling. Yeah, I mean, okay, let's stop and think about it. I'm not going to lie. If I was Amazon and I had access to, they got some of the greatest technology in the world, would I tell my buyers? They have teams of buyers for every single category and subcategory. Would I not tell them to go, you need to study the top 100 list, the top 500 list on a regular basis, figure out what that crap is, and I don't care if it's an iPhone cord. We need to figure out how to make that. We need to make it in China because we got more buying power. We need to put our Amazon Basics brand on it, and that's a good example for private label, and we need to sell it better, make a better product, and sell it cheaper. At the same time, let's say it's a nationally branded product. Hey, why is Hasbro in the top and all of its third-party sellers? We need to get a deal with Hasbro and cut this out and sell it ourselves. You know, that's, yeah, if I had Amazon, I would totally be doing that. I mean, that's called business. That's one of the dangers, though. That's one of the dangers of selling anything on Amazon. I mean, we're all just little tiny blips on Amazon's radar. And ultimately, if your product gets on Amazon's radar or a product gets on Amazon's radar, they're going to do what they have to do to go source it and find it cheaper and sell it cheaper, probably. Jack Smack said the stuff that we sell on Amazon is only made by one company. We're the only sellers. It's something that's always in the back of my mind. I'm sure they'd love to have a larger buy. And you know what? And at some point, and I hate to say that they play dirty pool, but at some point, Amazon will probably ask you for invoices. And the minute they get those invoices, I mean, just pray that it doesn't happen. But the minute that they get those invoices from you, bam, they got the name of your distributor. All it takes is their buyer calling up going, hey, we're Amazon. We want to start making this product if it's good enough, you know, for them to take notice of it. Not saying it's a bad product, but for it to be worth their while. And then they go straight to your distributor and go, we want 50,000 units of it. And what kind of product? 100,000 units, and they just cut you out, you know. Yeah. And I think that's, to me, that's the risk of Amazon versus eBay. Amazon started out as a platform with Jeff Bezos selling books in his garage. You know, they started out selling their own products, then they let third-party merchants come in. eBay doesn't sell their own stuff. I'm never going to compete against the platform that I'm selling on. And I think that's, for me, why it's a more attractive option, because I don't like like Jack Smack was talking about. Yeah, it's a scary thought, and I don't want to go to sleep with that thought in my mind. I say milk it as long as you can, but always keep that in the back of your mind that it could happen, you know.
Just watch your investment rates so you don't overbuy and then get stuck with something. So.
He said it already happened, hence the sleepless nights. Yeah, that sucks, dude.
Not a lot you can do about it. Go sell it on eBay. But
why isn't this about knee pads?
You don't want to know. Talk about earning the Cadillac.
We need questions. Questions. Jack Smack said something else I worry about. We get shut out and are stuck with inventory we can't sell because we're locked out. Two options there. I would try to, and I don't know your relationship with your distributor or your product, I would try to possibly work it in with your distributor on future, either lock in an exclusivity clause, lock in some kind of terms if you're not already on terms where you do have a return, and the ability to return unsold merchandise within X amount of days. I mean, Walmart negotiate, not that you're as big as Walmart, but Walmart negotiates stuff like that. Those would be two ideas. The third would be create a market for it on eBay so you got a backup plan. And the fourth thing would be, like Eric said, just watch your inventory levels. And literally, I mean, don't cut it too close where you kill your sales ranking on that item. But literally, I would never have excess, because that'd always be in the back of my mind that it could happen.
Don't buy on credit.
Or buy on credit through the distributor or whoever you're buying them through, the manufacturer you're buying them through, on terms, you know, 90-day terms with the agreement that unsold items can be sold back within X amount of day of purchase or credit.
Yeah, that's a little different story. If you're getting a lot of credit from the distributor, I mean, they have
Getting it back.
interest in taking back your refund then.
Thrift Daddy says Amazon is the hot chick at the bar and eBay is the chick you brought.
It's kind of true though. People start out with eBay and then they get on YouTube and they see, you know, make 10 million gazillion dollars on Amazon FBA, and it's like, ooh, that's so sexy, I'm gonna go jump at that, and they forget that they've been making a good living on eBay.
Jack Smack said we try to keep less than a 90-day supply, so if it does happen, we don't take too much of a hit. And I think that's brilliant, you know, or at least you can dump the last 90 of them over on eBay.
Yeah, I mean, you can always probably get a small profit out of eBay on something.
Or like somebody else said, you know, you got the option of wholesaling them to another Amazon person that doesn't care. I mean, then again, you're taking That's a little. I mean, no, I'm not saying that. I mean, that's a little. There's some people that wouldn't care about the risk. I mean, I'd be straight up and honest. You know, flipping another Amazon seller. Listen, here's the deal. Because the people I flip stuff to, I want to keep a long-term relationship with them, and I would be straight up honest. You know, here's the deal. Somebody else came in. Somebody else undercut me. You know, you look at what happened with Amazon. I mean, you can't keep dropping your price though, because Amazon will just follow you down usually.
No,
I mean, they did that with diapers.com to run them out of business. If you know that backstory, they literally, Jeff Bezos looked at his people on Amazon and said, "Hey, I want to corner the market." You know, diapers.com was selling on. It's the guy that eventually started jet.com, but they were selling on Amazon, and Amazon just kept going down. And Amazon basically said, "We're going to do what it takes. We don't care if we lose money on diapers. We're going to run him out of business until he sells." And they did. I mean, it's a little cutthroat. It's a little, you know, it's a little, is that Abraham Lincoln? It's a little cutthroat, but that's just the way they operate, you know. And diapers was a big company, and they couldn't keep up with it. Julie V said, "I don't think I will ever do Amazon. Perfectly happy with eBay." Jack Smack said oil companies did that to mom and pop gas stations back in the 60s and 70s a lot. Yeah. I think Amazon is a good place to. Jim, what are your thoughts on Amazon?
Well,
versus like what it was when you started, like where are you, like if you had to compare it, like what is it now?
Well, FBA is getting to be less and less of a deal. We've backed out of it. We're not sending any more in. We haven't sent any in. Our last shipment was the middle of March, so we haven't sent any in 6 weeks. And we're doing totally merchant fulfilled. And just the fees have gotten to be so high that it's not worth it to sell there. I mean, I could sell on eBay and 9 times out of 10 get the same or better pricing. That is, I had 2 Plantronics Bluetooth headsets that I had listed on Amazon for $90 on sale, and I got $70 offers. And on Amazon, even merchant fulfilled, I mean, the cheapest price is $60, there's one seller at 60, and he's had that same one since I listed mine. So, and him, but they just weren't moving. So I think a lot of the market, especially with Prime, I don't think Prime customers are willing to pay the Prime premium, and I've been saying that for a year now. It seems like, and you know, just you're not getting that extra 20% that used to be a guarantee. Now you're having to match the low merchant fulfilled price. Well, if I'm having to do that anyway, why am I sending my stuff in, paying for shipping, to sell it at a merchant fulfilled price when I can just keep it here? Be a lot easier, and we'll scale it. But you know, why would I send inventory in to sell it the same as if I would ship it myself and save on those fees?
I think it depends on what you're selling, though, too.
I don't know. I mean, I've sold small stuff, I've larger things, and I've made out much better on merchant fulfilled.
Back to the other, Jack Smack said, "Hell, you know about it firsthand. Look what Walmart will do to a small grocer." I mean, yeah, that happened when my dad got squeezed out, and they knew it. I mean, they come to town. They go into every small town in the United States with the lowest price, and they literally do. They have people. Oh God, how many people did we kick out of the store that we caught, you know, doing price? You know, they send people in to do price checks, and they secretly record all your prices, and they go back and they punch that data in, and Walmart beats your price on everything, on all the main items. And we kicked a lot of them out. My dad would catch them doing it. He's like, "You need to leave." And they're like, "Oh, I'm buying something, whatever." He's like, "No, you're not. You get the hell out of my store." And he wasn't real nice about it, but you know, and they did it. They came to town, and everybody in this small town, I was so excited. We got a Walmart, and I was going, guys, they're going to kill every other business in this town, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
They did. I mean, pharmacies, gas stations, everything else went belly up. And my dad was smart enough that he saw the writing on the wall, and he started realizing, stores profitable, stores profitable, stores profitable. Walmart comes, okay, we're breaking even. Okay, now we're losing this month. And after a year or so of that, he's like, I can spend every last dime I have, or I can get the hell out and get into a different business. He goes, you can't beat them. It's like Amazon, you can't beat them.
Right. But when I send a book into Amazon that sells for $15 and I'm getting raped at $7.50 just in their commission, and then add, their pick and pack fees and all that on, I mean, there's no sense in sending it.
Well, the media prices went up, so that became less attractive. I've had some inventory that I had marked down on Amazon just to blow it out, and I sold a book the other day for $5.99 and realized I lost 83 cents. And it was a small paperback book, and I was like, what the hell? And I went and checked to make sure that all the size and weight and everything were correct. And I was like, well, that sucks. At least it was a one-off. And I've got 300 different SKUs at Amazon. I'm just letting it die off. And I have one item left that I have quantity of. And after it's gone, it's like Eric was asking me the other day. He goes, will you make any money on Amazon? I said, probably $300 a month, on a steady basis for maybe the next 6 to 8 months with what's left there. But I knew that a long time ago, and I just quit sending in and just kind of let it sit and let the stuff that's sitting there, just kind of sell out.
And Jason's getting bored with all this Amazon talk.
Me too. I haven't said on Amazon in 8 months. I think I've got like 50 items up there. I'm just waiting for a free recall so I can just recall it all and be done with it.
I mean, it's hard to completely divorce Amazon just because they are the largest online retailer, but you have to go with what works best for you. So, I mean, if sending stuff in and, selling it that way works better for you because of, space issues like it was for me for a long time and still is until we move, then do that. But, once the fees catch up, then, you got to change up the way you do things. Don't get stuck doing something the same just because it worked a year ago.
Yeah, I mean,
Thrift Daddy asks.
Oh, go ahead.
Good. Thrift Daddy is closed sales on eBay like competing with Amazon, race to the bottom on jeans, etc.
There's a little bit of that. I think that, I mean, you're seeing, but it's not more so much as a race to the bottom. It's just that there's a glut of inventory.
Yeah.
And so that, all it takes is one person to sell at a little bit cheaper rate, and then the next 20 people that list look at that sale and say, okay, it only brings $15 instead of $20 now.
Which could be called a race to the bottom. I don't think it's going to go down to where like jeans are $1 with free shipping. I mean, obviously that's not what he meant. I think that's another example of if I was primarily a clothing seller, and I was like, damn, this is getting tough to sell. Like he mentioned, jeans, jeans or whatever. And there's like 50 million pairs of Levi's 3230s. How am I going to? I would just quit buying Levi's. I would go, okay, from here on out, we're going to have to hit a few more thrift. That was my model. A few more thrift stores, but I'm no longer going to buy Levi's unless I can get them for like $1 a pair or whatever, where I can still, and I can mass quantity list. I would just up my game and start learning more brands. I would sit and study the clothing categories and the solds, and I would, Tristan's amazing at it, and she's a great help. She knows clothing brands. I'd be more dependent upon her to help me, figure out what brands to buy and not to buy. And I'd be a lot more selective on what I bought.
Yeah. I've sold clothing at higher price points on Poshmark recently. I don't get sales as often, but what I'm selling for higher dollars.
Well, there you go.
So sometimes you just have to change venue.
Yeah, I'm not interested in any other venue.
Yeah, I mean, Poshmark is a pain in the ass because you have to get on there. Well, I don't. Ashley does. That's her thing now.
Well, that's a great thing.
But she gets on there.
Yeah, she can.
Right.
I don't deal well with the social aspect of Poshmark.
Right, and that's why I can't do it.
You know, it's same thing with like Facebook Marketplace, something like that. I just don't deal well with that. So.
Yeah.
I think ultimately with anything reseller, there's eBay, Amazon, whatever. I think too many people get stuck in a rut of, hey, this is working, and then one day they wake up and they don't realize that it's not really working, or they're working 10 times harder for the same amount of money. And I think like with any business, like back to my dad at the grocery store or whatever, at some point you have to go, I got to change this. I got to do something else. Or I use the first of the year to sit down. It's a good time. People are making New Year's resolutions. I personally use it as a time to, and we did this last year. I actually did a little bit before that, but I'm like, this isn't working. Amazon isn't working. They are killing. They're restricting brands right and left. They're wanting invoices and the whole pay to play to get ungated in brands. And I'm like, me personally, I don't have any interest in it. I don't want to wake up tomorrow morning and discover that I've got $50,000 tied up in Amazon inventory and I can't sell any of it. Now, what the hell? That was just a personal thing with me. I'm very low risk. No, I do take risks. I take it back, but they're well thought through risks. And I think that was a chance for us to go, okay, well, what do we need to do? And I go, well, we're damn good at eBay. We've always been good at eBay. We've gained a lot of knowledge, even though we went and played on Amazon for a few years. We've gained a lot more knowledge. I think we can just up our eBay game, and that's what we did, and it's working. But I think too many people get stuck in the past, so to speak, and don't step back, turn off social media, turn off this video. No, don't. I'm just kidding. But turn off the video and then just step back and look and go, if you feel like something's not right or you're frustrated with it, what's not working? And then fix it or correct it. Or shift completely. Shut the crap down and go a totally different direction. Jim sells services on Backpage.
Yeah. All right. I think this is a good place to end. We're all running out of steam, and
some of us have kids to get up in the morning for school.
Yeah, we've lost some energy here, so time to cut it. So when all else fails, porn. Yep. That's right, Jim. All right, guys, that's it. We're done. I have nothing else to add.
Peace.
It was fun.
There you go. All right.
Later.
We'll catch you all later. Have a good one, guys.
Backpage.